What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 6th Street Chapter 76 Boros is coming. Garp vs Maruza Gerudo. After the war at Naval Headquarters came to an end, all the 4 emperors were arrested, the revolutionary army fell, and the strong men of the old era only received a release experience card and were escorted back to the underwater prison. It is worth mentioning that Luffy and Ace were not executed because of Ain's emergency summons. So Marine once again announced another public execution to the world, and this time it included 4 sea emperors and the commander of the revolutionary army, Long. As soon as the news came out, the whole sea was shocked, and everyone cheered because their hopes became a reality. The execution of the 4 emperors marks the end of the Age of Discovery. I have always hoped for a metabolic curtain during the Great Voyage, but I never expected that it would come true so quickly. This is all the result of the Black Dragon. With my own strength, I ended an era. The Black Dragon is the god of war of this era. There is a black dragon, but there are no pirates. Shane has brought Marine's prestige to its current peak. At the same time, he has been recognized by many people for joining the Celestial Dragons and becoming the world's highest noble. Only a great man like Black Dragon, such a strong man, is qualified to become Celestial Dragons. That's right. The Black Dragons have become Celestial Dragons, and we support it with all our hands and feet. With the Black Dragon here, Celestial Dragons will undergo earth-shaking changes. I see the bright future of the world. Shane single-handedly ended the Age of Discovery and became the Celestial Dragons, allowing the world to congratulate him. The world is afraid of Celestial Dragons, is afraid of Celestial Dragons, and hates Celestial Dragons, but they think it is reasonable for Shane to become a Celestial Dragons. I even think that after Shane becomes a Celestial Dragons, he will bring a brighter, 407, future to the world, and ordinary people like them will not be oppressed like before. Naval Headquarters. Shane looked at the newspapers that were all about him and shook his head with a wry smile. People all over the world are praising me, which is a bit helpless. To be honest, Shane doesn't have much sense of belonging in this world, which makes him not have much sense of responsibility. Become a Marine Admiral, stop Doflamingo, and prevent the 2 emperors from contacting. In the Summit War, 10 people will defeat the others. Everything is a task from the system. It has nothing to do with his own will. Shane just wants to live one more life, enjoy this life and live leisurely. However, the world's admiration for him at this time made Shane feel an inexplicable sense of responsibility. It's so annoying, it's really annoying. He doesn't want this, he just wants to live quietly and enjoy this life. However, he seems to be a little helpless now. Others respect you and look at you like a god. Are you willing to see these people die? Is this the helplessness of those in high positions? Maybe that's it, forget it. Anyway, the system has given me a task this time, so just do this last one, and then enjoy your life. While thinking about this, Momosagi's voice came. Little Shane, on the other side. Shane didn't respond. He stood up and turned around, then leaned on Momosagi's lap again, and Momosagi continued to pick his ears. And Shane also put down the newspaper and stopped reading. The next day, all members of Naval Headquarters gathered together, and the scale was as huge as the previous Summit War. The world live broadcast was started again. Compared to before, Marine was much more casual this time and did not demonstrate the super combat power of his military. Because there is no need to show off, the battle a few days ago has proven to the world how powerful Marine is now. Marine is invincible as long as the Black Dragon is there. All over the world, everyone is in a happy mood, and everyone is waiting to witness a historic moment. Today will be the end of the Age of Discovery. The whole world seems to be shrouded in light. Under the gaze of the world, under the execution platform, the 3 admirals appeared. The seating arrangement this time is completely different from before. Instead of 4 admiral seats, there are only 3 admiral seats. Where's the Black Dragon? Why didn't Black Dragon Admiral arrange seats? What is Marine doing? We are watching the live broadcast, don't we just want to see the heroic appearance of the Black Dragon Admiral? Amidst the voices of dissatisfaction, the live broadcast camera began to pull up. Behind the execution platform, there was this staircase, and at the end of the staircase, there were 10 luxurious seats. On this seat, Black Dragon leans on it and overlooks the entire venue. His posture is lazy and he is yawning, but he possesses absolute majesty. The moment the Black Dragon appeared, Naval Headquarters burst into cheers. Black Dragon Admiral. Black Dragon Admiral, Black Dragon Admiral. People all over the world are also partying, shouting Shane's name. The world sings praises to Shane without stopping for a long time. On the execution platform, Sengoku couldn't keep the scene quiet, so he had no choice but to escort the 4 emperors and Long to the stage amid cheers. Whitebeard, Red Hair, Kaido, Ant, Dragon. These people were escorted to the execution platform with the name of Black Dragon. I didn't expect that before I died, I heard someone else's name. The red-haired man smiled helplessly. Kaido looked unhappy, but he couldn't do anything as a prisoner. In front of the Black Dragon, a real dragon, he is a caterpillar, and Shane shatters all of Kaido's pride. Holy place Marijoy. Inside Pangu City. The 5 elders looked at the audience chanting the name of the Black Dragon, feeling very sad and embarrassed at the same time. Why do you feel that the Black Dragon is the master of the world? The 5 elders could not help but look at Yim from the corner of their eyes to see how their master would react. Im's expression was quite unhappy, but she hid it very well. She looked at 5 elders and others and said, "What has Shane been doing recently?" Elder Satan coughed dryly and said, "Shane has been having fun lately. The day before yesterday, he went to the Golden City and played all night. He lost hundreds of billions at first, but not only won it back, he also won more than 1 billion belly." The elders looked at each other in shock, feeling that the Golden Emperor was playing a very good game, and finally paid more than 1 billion belly to close the relationship with Shane. With Shane's current status and strength, Tien's hundreds of millions is definitely worth it. But Im doesn't care about this. What she cares about is that Shane really doesn't practice, he just enjoys himself. Damn. Im was extremely angry, he was still too naive to place his hopes on such a brat. But at this moment, Im's face changed drastically, like a cat with explosive hair. He was extremely frightened, and cold sweat broke out all over his body. FTE. He came. Im seemed to have been greatly frightened, without any of his previous posture, curled up on the throne and shivering. I didn't expect it to be so soon. I thought it would take at least several years. At the same time, a huge shadow shrouded the sky above Naval Headquarters. Sengoku and other senior executives looked up with shock on their faces. Then, what is that? The huge black shadow stretched for at least 10 kilometers, and a small island seemed to appear in the sky. This scene directly shattered the worldview of everyone in the world. In the face of unknown behemoths, human beings can only feel fear. Many Marine soldiers looked frightened and confused, unable to understand what the sudden appearance of the behemoth was. Sengoku, the 3 admirals, even the executioner Whitebeard and the other 4 emperors all looked horrified. Then, what is that? A small island, just like Golden Lion's lion fruit. No. The red-haired man said in a deep voice, "It doesn't look like an island, but more like a ship made of steel." Have you ever seen a ship that stretches for more than 10 kilometers? On the Marine senior side, Garp, the 3 admirals and other high-level combat forces immediately gathered together to face this unknown event together. Aokiji's forehead was sweating. Hey, is this a bit exaggerated? Have you seen the artillery pieces below? They are many times more advanced than our Marine's most advanced artillery? Kizaru's entire expression was stunned. If Vegapunk sees this scene, he will definitely go crazy. After the huge spaceship is pressed down, it is full of high-tech feeling. Is this person a friend or an enemy? Sengoku muttered, he only cared about this. On the throne, Shane raised his eyebrows slightly, although he didn't seem to have much reaction, he was no less shocked than Sengoku and others. Whether in his previous life or this life, Shane has never seen a spaceship of this scale. The shock when facing a supergiant is unavoidable. If you dismantle the spaceship and then sell it for scrap, you can make a lot of money, right? Shane didn't tell Sengoku and others too much about the situation. After all, it was too troublesome for people in this world to talk about the universe and spaceships. It can't be explained clearly in a few sentences, so I won't explain it at all. When everyone was horrified and unable to understand what the giant thing above their heads was, an arrogant voice without any respect for life came from the spaceship. It's been more than 800 years, but I didn't expect that after I came back, the world would develop like the primitive people. But what surprises me is that such a planet can actually give birth to a strong man who can threaten me. This makes me very curious. As inferior creatures, how do you threaten me? Boros accidentally obtained a prophecy before. On this planet, he can find strong men who can make him happy. However, the creature who gave him the prophecy warned him. Don't go to this man, or Boros will die. At that time, Boros stopped talking as soon as he heard this, directly killed the person who made the prophecy, and then ran back. Will I, the invincible strongman who has defeated invincible opponents in the universe, die? Are you kidding me? This time when Boros came back, he planned to kill not only the people predicted to kill him, but also all the people on this planet. Below, the faces of Sengoku, Garp, San Admiral and other Marine executives suddenly turned ugly. It seems that the visitor is an enemy. Sengoku's face was heavy. Just the appearance of the behemoth in front of them made them feel troubled. How strong were the people inside? Boros had no intention of listening to everyone in Marine. To him, the people on this planet were all ants. If it weren't for that prophecy, he wouldn't even bother to come back. Maruza Gerudo, you are in charge of this battle. After Boros finished speaking, a man with a body full of tendons and 3 pairs of eyes on his head appeared. He was very tall. Maruza Gerudo made many people in Marine exclaim, looking very disgusting. All around the world, faced with this sudden change, everyone who was still cheering became nervous and scared. However, everyone is not as scared as before. The previous summit war gave them confidence and allowed them to have trust. The Marine is here. The Black Dragon is here. They will definitely drive away the intruders, and they will definitely be able to defeat these people. Naval Headquarters. Maruza Gerudo jumped from the spaceship without any protection, and a deep pit exploded the moment he landed. This kind of strength frightens the Rear Admiral, which means that only Vice Admiral level generals are qualified to fight against this invader. But on the execution platform, strong men like Sengoku and Garp could see more clearly that this was definitely not something Vice Admiral could handle. At least 3 admirals must be dispatched. Whitebeard, Red Hair, Kaido, and other prisoners from all over the world all spoke highly of their first impression of Maruza Gerudo, saying he was a strong man. On the throne, Shane looked at Meluza Gerudo and had no impression of him. Does this character appear in One Punch Man? But it's normal to think about it. Except for the more classic characters such as Boros and Hungry Wolf. The others have no sense of existence and can be killed instantly with one punch. Shane didn't feel the slightest threat from Maruza Gerudo. Now all his attributes have reached world-class levels, enough to crush the guy in front of him. At this time, the voice of Boros from the spaceship came again in the sky. He smiled lowly and announced to the world 1.8. Although I don't think there is anyone in this world who can kill me, I still respect the strong, ha 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 ha. So, I give you ants a chance to survive. As long as anyone can defeat the 3 strongest warriors under my command, then I will not kill anyone in the world. If I can't be defeated, I will kill all life on the planet. Poros's words spread throughout the world through live broadcast, causing the whole world to fall into great fear. No one in the world thought that this intruder actually wanted to kill them all. Isn't this too crazy? It's simply a devil. The world was frightened and pinned all their hopes on Marine's ability to defeat the 3 men and on Black Dragon's ability to repel the invaders. Naval Headquarters. The expressions of the senior Marine officers were solemn, but when it came to the Naval Headquarters, Meluza Gerudo laughed wantonly and said, "Which one of you wants to fight me? If there is no one, then I will attack randomly. If you are killed by me, it will be the fault of the strong man above you." No one stepped forward, hee. After Maruza Gerudo finished speaking, Yin Puji's violent shouts rang out from the execution platform. He jumped down from the high platform and sat on the square in the same physical body, blasting a deep pit. Garp raised his fist and said domineeringly, "I will be your opponent. When the time comes, don't cry. It's quite embarrassing for you to come to us with such momentum and then be beaten and cried by us." Meluza Gerudo's expression changed for a moment, and the next second he laughed angrily. "I just like a tough-talking guy like you." Ads by Bid Gear Chapter 77 obtained, Super Grant. The enhanced version of Garp appears. Garp also said harsh words when faced with Meluza Gerudo's ridicule. He sneered, "I'll let you know later that my iron fist is even harder." After Garp finished speaking, he shouted loudly and made an explosive gesture, and black thunder suddenly erupted around him. From the beginning, Garp showed his full strength. On the throne, Shane was not in a hurry to take action. There was no mission this time, so he could let Garp test the waters first. Even if you die in battle, it doesn't matter, you can use your own blood to resurrect. Super blood. Anyone can be resurrected as long as they don't die of life, or are beaten to powder and leave nothing behind. At the same time, Shane is still wondering why his mission hasn't been completed yet. Hasn't Boros arrived? Why is there no settlement? Shane is very strange. Below, Maruza Gerudo laughed repeatedly as he watched Garp unleash his full strength. His face was full of disdain for Garp. "Ant, I stand here for you to attack, to let you know the huge difference between you and me." Garp's eyes flashed slightly, and he felt that Melusaludo was just talking nonsense. "Don't blame lousy later." Garp shouted and rushed over, black thunder flashing and hurricanes roaring around him. His fist was as strong as a mountain and struck Maruza Gerudo. The power of the punch exploded, and a big hole was blasted out of Meluza Gerudo's body. Garp suddenly raised the corner of his mouth, "This." Then he shouted again, "Galaxy, fistbone." On the throne, Shane raised his eyebrows slightly. What a famous move. This is the move Garp used on Aokiji after arriving at Beehive Island. The Japanese move brought the Aokiji underground. At this time, Maruza Gerudo was also punched to the ground by Garp, and a huge pit suddenly appeared in Marine Plaza. This punch shocked the entire square. Seeing Garp gain the upper hand, the surrounding Marine generals and soldiers were overjoyed. Many people began to chant and cheer for Garp. "At this level, you still dare to threaten to kill us? Hurry home and wash up and sleep. You don't even need the Black Dragon Admiral to take action, you will die here." What Boros said just now was so arrogant, people felt so angry at this moment. People all over the world laughed and laughed at Maruza Gerudo. What he just said was so crazy. What an ant. What about killing all the people on this planet? Now everything has become a joke. If Garp takes action alone, he doesn't need anyone else to attack him, let alone Black Dragon. People all over the world regard this battle as fun. But the reversal soon came. Maruza Gerudo was blasted out by Garp, but he did not die. Not only did he not die, he even healed directly and returned to the same state as before, with no visible damage at all. The powerful men in the world were all shocked. Sengoku asked in shock, "What's going on? Is this a cure?" "This healing ability is a bit powerful, no less than that of the Black Dragon," the red hair commented. Just now, Garp blasted many holes in Maruza Gerudo's body, even his head was knocked off. This can be cured. The world's strongest man felt incredible and at the same time became solemn. It seemed that it was not as simple as imagined. Garp's eyes were downcast, feeling incredible and troubled. If using fists is useless, how to fight? Opposite me, Maruza Galudo laughed sideways. Did you see that? You ants can't kill me. Hey ha 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 ha. Next, I'm going to show you the gap between you and me in terms of attack. Garp snorted coldly and said with disdain, I would like to see. However, on the execution platform, Sengoku shouted, be careful. The rest of Marine were also shocked. Another Melza Garudo appeared behind Garp. Buddha's impact. Sengoku was shocked and quickly wanted to help Garp. However, Maruza Garudo behind him had already launched an attack, and he punched Garp on the spine. After hearing the reminder, Garp was hit before he could react. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through his spine, causing Garp to break out in a cold sweat. He even heard the sound of bones breaking. This made Garp's heart thump, and he secretly thought something was wrong. Behind him, Maruza Garudo did not miss any opportunity and launched another attack. At the same time, another Maruza Garudo on the opposite side also launched an attack. One after another, Garp was trapped. Garp failed to wait for Sengoku's support and was instantly killed by the two Maruza Garudos. Plop. The sound of a body falling to the ground was heard, and the hero, Garp, fell. The whole place was silent, and Sengoku's face looked scary. He looked at all this with grief and anger, and watched his comrades in the same period die. At first, everyone thought that Maruza Garudo was nothing, but now they all showed fear after seeing Maruza Garudo kill Garp instantly. Mr. Garp, being killed instantly. Although it was said to be a sneak attack, it broke through the defense instantly and caused a fatal blow, which is enough to prove the gap between the two sides. I'm afraid this monster is no less powerful than. On the execution platform, the red-haired man swallowed his saliva and was horrified. This monster is as powerful as a black dragon. The black dragon has the strength to defeat them instantly, and so does Maruza Garudo. Even Maruza Garudo's healing is more exaggerated than that of Black Dragon. Just now, almost a dozen holes were blasted out of his whole body by Garp, and he could recover perfectly like this, which is enough to prove how terrifying his recovery is. Whitebeard was shocked and said in a daze, why do world-class strong men appear one after another? What is someone who can instantly defeat top powerhouses like them, if not a world-class powerhouse? It is estimated that the Overlord-level rocks will not be able to withstand a single move in the hands of Maruza Garudo. Maruza Garudo looked at Garp's body, his face full of joking and casualness. Then he scanned the audience and laughed crazily. You ants, have you seen it? This is the gap in strength between you and us. Quick. Call you, the strongest person in the world, to come out, or I will kill you all one by one. No, I will use the most painful means to make you unable to survive without wishing to die. Hey ha 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 ha. The laughter resounds everywhere, throughout the world. Maruza Garudo showed his great strength and shocked the world. This guy is almost as powerful as the Black Dragon Admiral, and he is just a subordinate, so how terrifying is his leader? Can the Black Dragon be defeated? Terrified, feeling anxious in their hearts, everyone originally saw hope, but now this hope was shrouded in even more terrifying darkness. At the same time, everyone was looking at Shane, the god of war who had driven him away once. Shane has just brought hope to everyone. When everyone faces something that cannot be solved, their instinct is to rely on him. They pinned their hopes on him, so many people at the headquarters subconsciously looked at Shane. Maruza Garudo looked at everyone's gaze and looked at the throne at the end of the towering stairs, looking at Shane. Oh, Maruza Garudo smiled evilly, it seems that you were recognized as the strongest person in the world. It's quite unexpected. This appearance should be considered in the infant stage among ants like you, right? At this point, Maruza Garudo suddenly burst into laughter, which sounded like a disgusting laugh. Are you ants out of your mind? Has your brain been damaged by terror? You would actually recommend a child as your savior? On the throne, Shane was helpless. Originally, he planned to continue to show off for a while. Unexpectedly, people all looked at him, which made Meluja pay more attention to him. But it was helpless, and Shane wasn't angry at all, he was very calm. He knew that the reason why people looked at him was not intentional, but the world's trust in him. In this case, why should he be angry? At this moment, the system prompts in Shane's mind sounded. Congratulations to host for completing the mission. Super grant. Can randomly grant superpowers to others. Close black lens bracket. Shane's originally calm heart suddenly moved. Is it finally settled? It turns out that as long as the people of Boros pay attention to themselves, that's all. If he had known this, when Boros' spaceship appeared, Shane would have taken action to draw Boros and others' attention to him. But it's the same morning and night. Just when Shane looked at Maruza Garudo who was grinning ferociously below, he was speechless. Why are all villains like this? The system voice in my mind sounded again. Task. Help the indigenous people of the pirate planet crush the 3 generals under Boros while your own damage ratio does not exceed 5%. Complete this crushing mission to unlock new attributes. Super burst. Close black lens bracket. Shane was not surprised by the sudden appearance of the task. What surprised him was that the system actually allowed him to be a bystander this time. Considering that all of his attributes are now world class, if his damage does not exceed 5%, what is this other than letting him watch? If you just punch yourself, the damage ratio is estimated to be as high as 90%. A few days ago, Shane would probably have had a headache about this, but now that he has it, super gift, it's not a problem at all. Not to mention the damage proportion does not exceed 5%, it can be achieved even if it does not exceed 0%. At this time, Maruza Gerudo's sarcastic voice sounded below. Kid, come down here and I'll give you some candy. Ah, Shane chuckled and shook his head, not wanting to pay attention to him at all. However, Maruza Gerudo kept provoking, trying to anger Shane and make him come down to fight with him. Shane was completely immune to such verbal provocation. He looked down at Maruza Gerudo with a lazy posture and said, Since Boros said it, as long as we can defeat you 3 generals, we can be spared from death. Then let me say something here, as long as you can defeat the generals I assign, then I will spare your life. Maruza Gerudo was stunned for a moment, wondering if he had heard it wrong. What nonsense is that kid on the throne talking about? Assign generals? Is it just this group of ants? Not to mention Maruza Gerudo was confused, even the people in the pirate world were confused. What is Shane talking about? Maruza Gerudo has the ability to instantly kill Garp. Who else can deal with him besides Shane himself? Assigning generals will undoubtedly cost people their lives. Sengoku, San Admiral, he and others all looked at Shane in confusion. Maruza Gerudo below, after being stunned, laughed again. He guessed that there were still masters hidden in this world, and he suddenly became interested. Maruza Gerudo smiled and said, Kid, which general do you want to appoint? Meanwhile, Holy Land Mary Jo Ya, between rights. Immediately after feeling the arrival of the captain, I came here to watch the live broadcast. After seeing Shane 183 say that he planned to appoint a leader, she was immediately confused. The 5 elders on the side were also confused and looked at each other. Almost all of the top combat powers in the world are in Marineford. Apart from Shane, who has a combat power that is beyond the top level, who else has such combat power? Is this definitely an assignment, not a gift? By the way. Suddenly 5 elders and others thought of a possibility. Elder Nasushiro swallowed his saliva and said with some uncertainty. Lord I am, the assigned combat power that Shane said. Could it be? After Elder Nasushiro said this, was not calm at all. What the FK? She also thought of this possibility. Damn it, is Shane going to assign me? When thought of this, her whole body went crazy. She was so angry that she gnashed her teeth. If Shane really dares to do such a thing, I will. However, before finished speaking, in the live broadcast room, Shane had already announced the person he would appoint this time. Shane pointed to Garp lying on the ground, smiled at Maruza Gerudo and said, The general I assigned is him, Garp. Maruza Gerudo, everyone present in the headquarters is stunned. 5 elders are sluggish. The whole world is sluggish. Spaceships. The other 2 generals Glolibas and Goryuganshup looked at each other in confusion. What the hell? On the throne, Boros frowned slightly, but quickly closed his eyes. Silent to himself. It's boring. Assign a dead person? This kid must be mentally ill. No one in Naval Headquarters or even around the world understands it. What's going on? Why did the Black Dragon Admiral assign Garp? Isn't Garp dead? Even if the blood of the Black Dragon Admiral could revive him, it would be useless. The difference in strength is there. Should I be killed instantly or be killed instantly? Headquarters. After Maruza Gerudo came to his senses, he held his stomach and laughed wildly. Kid, your joke is the funniest joke I've heard in hundreds of years. I have to say, you are really cute, ha 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 ha. Assigning a dead person? Ha 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 ha, it made me laugh. On the throne, Shane said nothing and directly raised his hand to shake out the blood. The blood falls on Garp and begins to heal Garp's body while restoring his life. At the same time, the moment Garp regained his vitality, Shane used super empowerment. This made his left eye light up, slightly red, like a blood moon. The shadow of Garp was reflected in the glowing pupils, and the font displayed at the same time. Randomly grant super power and super flying. Ads by Bid Gear. Chapter 78 Maruza Gerudo was killed in seconds. The 4 emperors all crave power. Maruza Gerudo looked at the human being he had killed instantly and stood up with a surprised expression on his face. Not dead yet? No, that's not right. Maruza Gerudo couldn't help but look up at Shane on the throne at the end of the stairs. He was 100% confident that this human being had been killed by him. The reason why they can be resurrected is because of the blood of the kid on the throne. The blood of that kid can actually resurrect people? What the hell? After Maruza Gerudo understood this, he felt an unheard of surge in his heart. On the spaceship, the other 2 generals Glolibas and Golyu Yusuf were also extremely surprised. What's going on? Why can that human's blood be resurrected? Glolibas looked at Goryuganshup, who was the most knowledgeable creature on the spacecraft. Zhe Liuyushupu was also confused. I don't know, I have never seen anything like this happen. Looking at the entire galaxy, no race can do this. The most important thing is that this kid seems to be a special case of human beings. It is his personal ability. It's just resurrection, nothing to make a fuss about. Behind him, Boros, who was sitting on the highest throne of the spacecraft, spoke. He held his chin with his hand and looked lazy. No matter how the ants are resurrected, they're still just ants. Appointing such an ant as a general. Ha! Boros sneered again and again, not taking Shane's resurrection of Garp seriously at all. That human was just killed instantly by Maruza Garudo. What will happen after Shahuo? He was still killed instantly. I'm really stupid to believe such a prophecy. Boros yawned and laughed at himself. Below, Goluganshupu on the operating table chuckled, bowed slightly and complimented. Sir, you have just stayed in a high position for too long, and you are eager to meet an opponent who can make you feel excited. This desire is not stupid. It can only be said that you are too strong. Boros looked very satisfied after hearing this. He continued to hold his chin and looked at the battle situation at Naval Headquarters. To be honest, he didn't want to watch anymore. In Boros' opinion, there is no need to continue watching this battle. Maruza Garudo can kill the person below him alone. Including the imp who sat on the throne and was given high hopes. Maruza Garudo below was surprised, and then he laughed ferociously. His voice was low and hoarse, full of joking. It's surprising that your ant blood has such magical abilities. But it's useless. I resurrected an ant that I killed instantly, and then I killed him instantly. People around him, as well as people all over the world watching the live broadcast room, could not understand what Gen N did. Garp was killed instantly before, so why did Black Dragon still choose him as its general? Having said that, the hero Garp is already considered the strongest group of people except the Black Dragon Admiral. In our world, no one except the Black Dragon can take action. The Black Dragon Admiral may want to take advantage of the fact that his blood can be resurrected. Using blood can resurrect and consume the physical strength of this disgusting guy in front of you. On the execution platform, Whitebeard spoke in a low voice and expressed his analysis. No one around the 4 emperors spoke, and the Sengoku and 3 admirals in front also did not speak. All the strong men present agreed with what Whitebeard said. The Black Dragon is currently the strongest in the world. Once he takes action and consumes too much energy in Maluzagarudo, he will be very passive against the strongest person on the spaceship. In this case, using the fact that blood can be resurrected allows Garp to continuously consume Maluzagarudo, and the opponent will defeat him. In this way, Shane not only conserves his physical strength, but also can get a feel for the strength of the person behind him. I have to say that Shane is very powerful and a strategist. The red-haired man said with emotion. If you put it in the hands of such a person, you will have no regrets in this life. On the throne, Shane listened to the analysis of his actions by everyone on the execution platform. I couldn't help but laugh out loud in my heart. How could I have thought so much? It's really just using Garp as a general to defeat Maluzagarudo. However, with Shane's character, he naturally couldn't explain anything and continued to look at the square below. The resurrected Garp was stunned in place, looking at his hands in confusion. What's going on? This power. Garp was so shocked that he could understand why he was resurrected. Shane had done it before. But what's going on with that powerful force in his body now? This was a power that Garp could not imagine at all. He only felt that one punch of his could make the world tremble. So strong, as powerful as a god. Not only strength, but also flight. I now have the ability to fly. All the changes shocked Garp, and soon he couldn't help but raise his eyes and look at Shane. Shane at the end of the stairs is like a supreme being, and his overlooking posture seems to be overlooking his own people. God. Quote. Garp couldn't help but murmured in a low voice, it was so similar. The next second he saw the smile on Shane's lips, which made Garp understand everything immediately. The power and flight that he can now shake the world are gifts from Shane. Wahahahaha. Garp suddenly burst out laughing after understanding everything. Smile boldly and happily. I was so embarrassed just now that I lost my face. Next, I want to get back everything I lost. Garp looked at Maluzagarudo, smiled confidently, and held his fist. Maluzagarudo's face was full of disdain and contempt. Ants will always be ants. Garp bared his teeth, then widened his eyes and smiled playfully. The next second Garp burst out, super flying, and he rushed straight towards Maluzagarudo close to the ground. Before the opponent had any reaction, he punched Maluzagarudo to the ground. This punch is exactly the same as the one used to hit Aokiji in the original work, but the difference is that this time it is 100 times more powerful than before. However, considering that there were Marines around, Garp's power did not fully explode, and the explosion point was very concentrated, all of which was concentrated on Maluzagarudo. After Garp's attack, a huge rift appeared in Marineford, and Maluzagarudo had disappeared. The whole audience was shocked. Sengoku and Suru, who knew Garp's strength very well, were in disbelief. What's going on with Garp's power? Sengoku was stunned. His power was several times stronger than before. Resurrection also brings strength improvement. I have never heard those people who were resurrected say this before. Whitebeard, the red-haired strong men were all shocked by the amazing power displayed by Garp. What situation is this? Has Garp become so powerful after his resurrection? Holy place Mariajoy. Everyone in 5 elders is shocked. Among them, I stood up directly, with a horrified expression and a stammering tone. How is it possible? Maruzagarudo is dead. Has never been so out of control in over 800 years. At this time, she looked like a woman who was shocked and stupid, completely without the posture of being the king of the world for more than 800 years. When the 5 elders around heard saying that Maruzagarudo died, they were not much better. Everyone looked at Amu in confusion. Is Maruzagarudo dead? What the hell? Among them, Elder Satan was very respectful and asked, Lord Yimu, do you? After a pause, Elder Sardan wiped his sweat and changed his words. Lord are you mistaken? How could Garp kill Maruzagarudo? The other elders looked at also wondering if they had made a mistake. To be honest, everyone suspected that was too scared and had an unbalanced mentality, so he made a mistake. Before it was replaced, would have shown his arrogance and asked the 5 elders if they dared to question themselves. But was not in that mood at all now, and she also doubted whether her perception was wrong. However, after she sensed it, the result seemed to be the same. Maruzagarudo was dead. The resurrected Garp instantly killed Maruzagarudo with one blow. What's the matter? Looked at the live broadcast screen and looked at Shane, who was sitting high above. The kid had a calm expression, as if he had everything under control. Did Shane do it? She resurrected Garp, giving Garp power beyond this world. However, couldn't understand, how did Shane do it? Another new method. Headquarters, in the airship above the sky. Goryu Ganshupu was extremely shocked. He looked like an octopus and had many tentacles. At this time, the tentacles were operating crazily. After confirming an unacceptable fact, Maruzagarudo died. How can it be? How could Maruzagarudo be killed by ants? Even if there is indeed a powerful one among the ants, it shouldn't be the human named Garp below. That guy was killed instantly by Maruzagarudo just now. However, no matter how you investigate, there is only one result. Maruzagarudo is dead, and there is no sign of his life. Impossible. Gelyuganshupu's voice spread out like radio waves. This was because he was speaking with his mental power. He kept operating it to see if the inspection instrument was broken. On the side, Glolibas was just concerned about the power of Garp, a human being, and his punch, but then he was attracted by Goryu Ganshupu. He asked in surprise, what's wrong? Then I heard Goryu Ganshupu urgently say, there is no life source of Maluja Galudo on the life detection instrument. Gloribus's 3 mouths opened slightly. How is that possible? There is a high probability that there is something wrong with the instrument, and I am investigating now. Gelyu Yusup said. At this time, Boros's voice sounded from behind. There is no need to investigate, Maluzaludo is indeed dead. He has sensed it. Goryu Shopu and Glolibas screamed out in surprise as their hearts stirred up. Maruzagarudo is really dead. What's the situation? The two of them couldn't believe why Marimudrudo would die. Boros still had a nonchalant attitude and said calmly. I don't know the specific situation. That human's strength has improved a lot after his resurrection. Gloribas still couldn't believe it and shouted. Isn't Maruzagarudo capable of infinite regeneration? As long as there's nothing wrong with those beads on his body. Boros remained calm. That human punched all the beads of Maruzagarudo into pieces. Glolibas and Goryuganshup were completely stunned, unable to understand why Garp suddenly became so strong. Outside, in the headquarters square, Garp grinned and laughed so happily. This power is too powerful. So this is what it feels like to have the same power as Shane. That's awesome, isn't it? That kind of absolute power that can accomplish anything. Let yourself kill Maruzagarudo instantly with one punch. Garp immediately raised his fist and said to Shane on the throne, Shane, I didn't give in. You are disappointed. The strength you give me is simply amazing. Garp's words surprised everyone watching this scene. The Marine soldiers were confused. What the hell? Senior executives like Sengoku, 3 admirals, and 4 emperors were surprised and turned to look at Shane. Holy place Mariajoy. And 5 elders are sluggish. What does Garp say? Shane gives strength. What new method is this? On Boros's spaceship, Glolibas and Goluganshop looked at each other and felt that it was outrageous. Can you still give your power to others? Until now, Gen N's methods are a bit beyond their understanding. Either resurrected or given strength to others. At this time, the voice of Boros behind him sounded again. Gloribas, Goryuganshop, it's your turn. He didn't care at all about Shane empowering Garp. The power given by that human being is indeed strong, but it's just that. Just be careful not to be hit by a full-scale explosion. Maruzagarudo has let me down. I hope you too will let me down and embarrass me. Otherwise, if you are not dead, I will personally send you on your way. In the eyes of Boros, if Shane's power was only the power given to Garp, he would not care at all, and he would not be able to compete with him. After hearing this, Glolibas and Goryu Ganshupu nodded, respectfully accepted the order, and then said. Lord Boros, I promise to complete the task perfectly and not embarrass you. I will let this group of humans know what the real terror is. Boros didn't say a word, but just waved his hand to indicate that they could leave. Below, the headquarters, everyone looked at Shane, surprised that Shane had a new trick. However, Shane had no intention of explaining. He just smiled faintly at the three admirals and said, "Would you like to try it too?" "Same as Garp, I will give you power, my power king." Below, everyone was sure after hearing this, that Garp can have such strength, it is really the power given by Shane. Shane's hands and methods are becoming more and more amazing. Whitebeard was surprised. How can he give power to himself when he owns it? Everyone else nodded in agreement. While shocked that Shane had new tricks, he was also very envious of Wu. The red-haired man laughed and said, "To be honest, I kind of want to experience it once." "It's not just you, I want it too." Whitebeard's eyes sparkled, full of longing. They wanted to see what they could see from Shane's height. At the same time, the Marine executives in front of them were all excited and eager. Kizaru said, "Yo," and said, "I want to try it." As for fishing, don't be ridiculous, it's important to experience true grace. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Ads by Bid Gear. Chapter 79 Three Admirals, Two Cadres of Boros. The two men will be confused. Frustrated at the start. Kizaru, the king of fishing, was the first to express his stance. He expressed that he wanted to give it a try and then join the battle. Aokiji quickly raised his hand and said, "I want to try it too." And Akainu coveted it even more, fearing that Shane wouldn't give it to him, so he said to Shane, "Shane, it's up to you, you and I are father and son." On the throne, Shane touched his nose and took the lead in giving Akainu super grant. Shane's light red pupils show. Akainu is granted super defense and super breathing. Close black lens bracket. After all, Akainu is also his cheap father, so he still needs to give him some face. Akainu was stunned at first, and then his eyes suddenly lit up when he felt the changes in his body. He said in a rare excited voice, "I feel like I am invincible now." Shane. Akainu was deeply surprised and shocked by super defense. Is this the kind of defense you have? Akainu was so shocked that this level was something he could never reach in his life, and he couldn't reach it no matter how hard he tried. He finally understood why his son could withstand the attacks of powerful men. He can do it now, and he can do it easily. For Akainu, a person who pursues strength, he is extremely envious. However, the huge gap also made him realize the reality that he might not be able to reach the level of his son in several lifetimes. There are also changes in breathing. Akainu feels that he can swallow half the world's air now. Powerful. Shocking. On the side, Sengoku, he, Momosuke and others were extremely jealous. Not only them, but even the soldiers in the square were full of desire. Everyone wants to join the battle and experience Shane's power. For a time, the original solemn atmosphere changed into an atmosphere, no more tension, no more fear. There is only desire and expectation. Glolibas and Goryuganshupu, who had already come down from the spaceship, had dark faces. Hey, are we two being ignored?" Gloribas said with a dark look on his face. Gelyugan Shopu was relatively calm and reassured. "Gloribas, wouldn't it be more interesting to let the ants see hope first, and then we crush this hope completely?" After hearing this, Glolibas immediately laughed ferociously. "Golyugansho 510 Poo, what you said makes sense." Meanwhile, Mecha Mariajoy, the five elders looked at the situation at Naval Headquarters. The five elders looked at each other and saw the desire in each other's eyes. They also wanted to experience Shane's power. However, now that Master IM is present, they can't show it, so they can only forcefully restrain the desire in their hearts. However, what the five elders didn't know was that IM was extremely eager to experience Shane's power at this time. Although IM feels that he is not much different from Shane, but Shane's methods are even more magical. For example, breathing, using blood to resurrect people. I also want to try these magical methods. Naval Headquarters. On the throne, seeing almost everyone asking for help, Shane couldn't help but shake his head and laugh. I didn't expect everyone to be so positive. Even Kizaru, who likes fishing, volunteered. But now is not the time to spend time here. Shane also noticed Glolibas and Goryuganshop who had appeared in the headquarters square. Shane simply raised his hand, and before he could say anything, everyone in the room suddenly fell silent. This prestige is beyond doubt. Shane said calmly. Everyone, if you want to experience it, there will be many opportunities in the future, but now it is a war that concerns the world. So we must take it seriously. This time, the three admirals will take action. Shane naturally thought about it. Even if you use Super Grant to give others the same level as yourself, the gifts can only be random. So in this way, you must have some background. Finally Shane announced. The three admirals are responsible for this war. After finishing speaking, Shane's right eye's red light locked on Aokiji and Kizaru, and performed Super Grant on them both. Kizaru gains Heat Vision and Super Power. Aokiji gains Super Momentum and Super Flying. Close black lens bracket. Kizaru felt his two new attributes and was extremely excited. Yo, he was extremely excited. Shane, I feel like I can blow up the entire Marineford with one punch now. Not only that, my eyes can also shoot lasers. As he said that, Kizaru deliberately took off the toad sunglasses and put them away. Aokiji was silent for a few seconds, and then laughed. Conqueror's Haki is completely incompetent in front of the abilities I have obtained. He is almost like a younger brother. I am embarrassed to call the people who have awakened Conqueror's Haki all those who have the qualifications of a king. If Conqueror's Haki is a person with king's qualifications, then who is the owner of super momentum? The difference between the two is that one is in the sky and the other is underground. 3. Admiral stopped talking nonsense. Akainu took the lead and came to Gloribus and Goryu Shupu first, followed closely by Aokiji and Kizaru. The admirals faced Gloribus and Goryuganshup. In the rear, Sengoku, Crane, Zephyr and others were envious, and they felt extremely sorry for not being themselves. Garp is still unsatisfied and wants to continue fighting with Shane's power. Unfortunately, this time Shane let 3 admirals take action. People were regretful, disappointed, and no one was dissatisfied with Shane, not even a little bit. Now that Shane has made his choice, they will absolutely obey Shane. Below, Gloribus and Goryu Shupu looked at Marine Admiral. Although there were 3 people on the other side, they didn't pay attention to them at all. No matter how many people there are, they will ignore them. No matter how many ants there are, they are still just ants. Haha, the 3 of you are quite confident. Gloribus smiled with 3 mouths. But soon, the longer you wait, the more desperate you will become. Gloribus smiled grimly. On the side, Goryu Ganshupu used his mental power to chuckle. If the 3 of you choose to surrender now, then you will humiliate your human leader. We will agree to let you join our ship. Akainu immediately frowned, feeling unhappy. Humiliate your own son. Are you kidding me? Akainu immediately planned to take action, and the red magma suddenly bulged out, creating a wave of heat. However, at this time, Aokiji on the side stopped Akainu and said, Sakazuki, I will deal with this guy. Aokiji sees that Goryu Shupu seems to have an ability similar to observation haki. To restrain this kind of player, it is easiest to use super momentum. Akainu raised his eyebrows and saw Aokiji rising into the air, and then released his super momentum under the gaze of everyone. A terrifying aura suddenly enveloped the entire Marineford. In the air, Aokiji burst out with super momentum, and the momentum swept over the entire audience. Many people around him felt suffocated, and Aokiji seemed like a huge terror. Fortunately, Aokiji locked Gloribus and Goryu Shupu, and everyone was afraid and would not be affected. Meanwhile, Holy Land. The 5 elders were shocked and shocked. Hey, do you feel it? Elder Nasushiro asked. I feel it. Elder Sarden was so shocked. Although Naval Headquarters is not far from the red line, it is not close either. They actually feel the momentum from Naval Headquarters now. What an exaggeration. Shane also had such a momentum a few days ago, but the Holy Land Mariajoy was not affected at that time. Elder Moss was shocked. How powerful is Shane now? It's unimaginable. Even IM was shocked. Shane became BHBD stronger than before. IM couldn't help but look at the 5 elders, and then asked, didn't you say that Shane has been eating, drinking and having fun these days? Now that Shane's strength has improved so much, how can he be eating, drinking and having fun? The 5 elders and others were also confused. The spy did say that Shane was eating, drinking and having fun. How did they know what was going on? Why can Shane's strength improve so much even though he eats, drinks and has fun? What's going on with this guy? He has too many secrets, right? Even the 5 elders can't understand it. Headquarters. Aokiji burst out with super momentum, which caused Gloribus' expression to change slightly. There's something about this momentum. He was a little shocked. However, when Gloribus looked at Goryuganshup next to him, he was frightened and left Shup alone. What's wrong with you? I saw Goryuganshup covering his head with multiple tentacles, looking extremely painful. My head hurts so much, it feels like it's going to explode. This momentum actually has a fatal impact on my mental strength. Jie Luganshopu was horrified. If this continues, he will be unable to bear it. Gloribus was also shocked. He didn't expect that the other party actually had methods to target Goryu Ganshupu. He must stop the guy who releases his momentum in the air, so that he can rescue Goryu Ganshupu. When Gloribus thought of this, he immediately fired venom at Aokiji in the air without any hesitation. Lousy's venom can kill all living things on a planet. Go to hell. Hey ha ha ha. The venom moved towards Aokiji, and the air in its path seemed to be corroded and smoke was emitted. The people watching this battle concerning the fate of the world were all frightened when they saw the power of Gloribus' venom. Sengoku, Garp, 4 emperors and other strong men made judgments in their hearts. If they were touched by the poison, even a small amount would be killed. Aokiji is in danger. At this moment, a figure appeared in front of Aokiji. It turned out to be Akainu. He said to Gloribus, your opponent is me. Can kill all living things. Ah, Akainu smiled without fear, then I want to see it. Akainu was given super defense and faced the venom of Gloribus. He directly used his own body to resist it. The venom that can corrode even the air stuck to Akainu's body, and the poison suddenly exploded, eroding Akainu's body crazily. This scene makes everyone worried. At the same time, they don't understand why Akainu wants to block with his body. Can't he block with his moves? When Glolibas saw that his venom hit him directly, he burst into laughter. What an idiot. I told you that my venom was terrifying, but I still used my body to block it. You are so stupid. It is a miracle that you can survive to this day. Let me end your life. To Gloribas, Akainu was a dead man. However, something unexpected happened. The poison that was supposed to turn Akainu into bones was on the surface of Akainu, unable to corrode it at all. What? Gloribas was extremely surprised. The venom actually lost its effectiveness. Akainu landed quickly. His expression was indifferent and cold. He shook the venom from his body and it fell to the ground. The ground was suddenly corroded by the venom and turned into a death zone. The corners of Glolibas' eyes twitched. Does the person in front of him have such a strong defense? Did he inherit the kid at the end of the throne? Doesn't this mean that the kid is terrifying in terms of strength and defense? All the members breathed a sigh of relief after seeing that Akainu was not hurt at all. At the same time, they also understood why Akainu directly blocked it with his body. Sengoku laughed and shook his head. It seems that Shane has defended Akainu's terrifying defense power. Garp nodded, indicating that this was most likely the case, but he said, I prefer Shane's strength to his defense. That was a power that could shake the whole world, and it was extremely terrifying. Later, the four emperors were also surprised. Shane's defense became even more terrifying. The red-haired man smiled bitterly. It's scary for Shane now. Even if we join forces with many strong men again, we won't be able to cause any harm to him. Glolibas' face gradually began to darken. What he was best at was venom. Now that the venom was ineffective, it was equivalent to being weakened by at least 30%. It's unbelievable that Goryu Shippu could withstand the venom of Glolibas. This has never happened before. But Goryu Usup didn't care so much now, since Glolibas couldn't stop the damn bastard in the air from releasing his momentum. Then you must save yourself. Jailuyu Shopu endured the pain caused by super momentum, decisively exploded his ability, and used his telekinesis to pull a huge meteorite, which fell from the sky. His action this time was not only to save himself, but also to vent his anger. How shameless is it to be defeated before you even take action? So Goryu Ganshup was unhappy and planned to kill 10 groups of humans to vent his anger while stopping Aokiji. Huge meteorites fell from the sky, making many people feel frightened and deeply afraid. Once the meteorite falls, the entire Marin Island will disappear from the map. Just when the cruelty in Gelyu Shopu's heart was aroused, and he was excitedly waiting for the meteorite to kill him, a red laser suddenly shot towards the meteorite in the sky. Suddenly, the giant meteorite shattered into countless fragments, and finally fell into the sea. Jailuyu Shopu looked dull. What kind of trick is this? Laser. Is the laser so powerful? Goryu Ganshupu turned around and saw Kizaru's eyes were red. Ads by Bid Gear. Chapter 80 Cosmic Level Poison Gas. That's it. Unlock new attributes. Open black lens bracket super explosion close black lens bracket. Goryu Ganshupu was completely confused. Firing lasers. Forget it by firing lasers, the power is still so terrifying. This meteorite was enough to destroy 90% of the planet's area, but it was destroyed by the laser and turned into countless particles. Goryu Ganshupu was in a bad state, and it was difficult to do this even if he used all the weapons on the spacecraft. Gloribas was also shocked. This power. He swallowed subconsciously. The laser power that the man just erupted was enough to kill both of them instantly. As long as you are hit, there is only one result, death. The worst thing is that Goryu Shippu and Glolibas can't interrupt Aokiji's super momentum. Gelyugan Shippu finally couldn't hold on anymore. Blood spurted out from his mouth and eyes, and his expression was in pain. Super momentum made Gelyugan Shippu bleed from all 7 holes, and the mental damage he suffered was considerable. In the air, Aokiji couldn't help but stop his super aura when he saw this. Originally it was just a guess, but I didn't expect it to be effective. Shane's momentum is really terrifying. Aokiji was a little lucky that Shane had been Marines from beginning to end, so he didn't need to face such a terrifying momentum. The 4 emperors and other powerful people who have experienced super momentum are secretly grateful in their hearts. Fortunately, Shane's momentum was not so strong at the beginning, otherwise they would have been in more pain. On the throne, Shane looked at the battle in the square, the corners of his mouth raised slightly. It seems that this mission is 100% completed. He glanced at Boros out of the corner of his eye, curious about how Boros would react when he saw his 3 generals being tortured. In the spaceship at this time, Boros finally looked directly down. He raised his eyebrows and murmured, "It's interesting. I didn't expect these ants to have such strength." However, Boros didn't take it seriously. He only needed to release his energy casually. The abilities of this group of humans had no effect in front of him. Outside world. At this time, Goryu Ganshup and Glolibas no longer had the arrogance they had at the beginning, but only had astonishment and disbelief. These ants actually have such power. Gelyugan Shopu, who was bleeding from all his orifices, endured the pain and his mental power fluctuated wildly. The meteorite fragments in the distance that were shattered by Kizaru's heat sight suddenly stopped, and the next moment they were raining down on the Naval Headquarters like a heavy rain. The speed of these meteorites reached ultimate. The terrifying speed caused them to rub against the air and produce flames. In this way, tens of thousands of fireballs rushed towards the headquarters. Ginyu Shopu smiled ferociously on his blood-covered face. He opened his tentacles as if making a high-lifting gesture, and then laughed ferociously. Ants, how are you going to take this blow? Under my control, all of these meteorite fragments are close to sub-light speed. If one of them is dropped, it will be enough to cause energy that will destroy the world. Ha 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 ha. Ants, enjoy the fireworks before death. Everyone in the headquarters watched the large fireball rushing toward them, and everyone remained silent. Sengoku, Garp, 4 emperors, all the powerful men were so shocked that they broke into cold sweats. This kind of power is simply not something they can resist. Even Kaido, the strongest creature, looked frightened and saw the fact that he was about to die. Only Akainu, who was given by Shane, could physically resist it, but it was such a large area. How could Akainu resist it? The heat sight is also just 2 lasers. No matter how powerful it is, it cannot intercept all the meteorite rain. Everyone was shocked. Everyone thought that Shane had to take action this time, but since the 3 admirals inherited Shane's various powers, the 3 of them can't do anything, but Shane can do something. At this time, yo resounded throughout the audience and throughout the world through the live broadcast room. Sublight speed. Kizaru raised his eyebrows in a playful manner, his expression looking very vulgar. Then have you ever experienced the horror caused by the speed of light? Kizaru moved, and he turned into a star in the sky, and he spoke in a deep voice. Super 8-foot Magatama. Countless golden rays of light appeared, and these rays of light turned into meteors and headed towards the fireball rain. The 8-foot Magatama, blessed by super power, is dozens of times more terrifying than Kizaru's before. Meteors passed by one after another, and soon dazzling fireworks exploded in the sky. All Goryugen Shuputong's attacks were blocked. Goryugen Shupu's original ferocious smile disappeared, and he was astonished to the extreme. His attack was resisted again. If this continues, they may really die here. Goryu Ganshipu quickly looked at Glolibus and yelled, "Use your cosmic-level poisonous gas." Glolibus's eyes flashed. This was his absolute must-kill, whether it was life or matter, it would surely perish if it was corroded by the poisonous gas. But there is a problem with this move, that is, even he himself will be hurt, which means that they are likely to die. Gloribus hesitated a little, but within a few seconds of hesitation, he gritted his teeth and made up his mind. Once they are defeated, Lord Boros will also kill them. Instead of doing this, it is better to use poison gas, at least there is a chance of survival. Thinking of this, Glolibus stopped talking nonsense and said to Goryu Gansip, "Golu Gansip, pay attention to yourself. My cosmic poisonous gas scares even myself." Goryu Ganshupu nodded. Since he asked Glolibus to be released, he naturally had the means. Even this method is not a foolproof solution. There is a high probability that it will be affected and death may occur. But now I don't care about that much anymore, I'll just win this battle. Glolibus shouted. Ants, let me give you a taste of the cosmic horror. Locusts destroy poisonous fog. Glolibus opened his 3 mouths and then sprayed poisonous gas around him. The poisonous gas spread out, corroding the air, and the surrounding things turned into mud at the moment of contact. Gloribus smiled. Ants, I really want to see you struggling in pain, but unfortunately, if you insist on struggling, don't blame me. But you may want to thank me, because this poisonous gas will not cause you any pain and turn you into mud in an instant. Goryugen Shopu used his mind power to isolate the poisonous gas, but now the poisonous gas can even corrode his mind power. This made Luyushipu secretly frightened, and at the same time he was determined to win. However, at this moment, a cold snort sounded, and Akainu looked disdainful at the poisonous gas. He folded his hands and said indifferently, "That's it. Let me see what kind of power it can be transformed into." After saying this, Akainu's chest rose and fell, and he activated super breathing. Akainu directly used super breathing, and while his chest was rising and falling, he inhaled everything into his nose, including the poisonous gas released by Gloribus. The crazy suction force made Akainu look like an endless hole. This scene directly dumbfounded Glolibus and Gorakashup. What the hell? Goryu Ganshupu was shocked to ultimate. Glolibus's cosmic-level poisonous gas can even corrode his own mind power. Why is this guy in front of him? Why can he absorb my poisonous gas? Gloribus opened his mouth 3 times and became suspicious. He was completely unable to understand the situation in front of him. This was the first time he had encountered this in so many years in the universe. Are you kidding me? Isn't it too outrageous? Is this guy so hard? On the throne, Shane was extremely calm. The system's introduction to super breathing said that it can absorb all special gases. The poisonous gas in Goryu Ganshupu is also a special gas. No matter how powerful you are, you can just absorb it. But what is worth complaining about is that Gloribus said that his poison gas is cosmic level. Shane just wanted to say, haha. It is not as exaggerated as what they said, because Akainu absorbs time and the poisonous gas does not give him much experience to improve, only about 15,000 points. In the past, Shane would be excited, but now when it comes to improving his world-class, super-breathing attribute, it is almost like water dripping into the sea, and no progress can be seen at all. People in the world looked at all this and exclaimed again and again. The next second, everyone burst into excited cheers. They knew that Shane could absorb a lot of things, but they didn't expect that he could even absorb that cosmic-level poisonous gas. It was amazing. I thought this guy from the sky was so cool, but now it looks like so weak. Ha 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 ha. That's it. Universe level. By the way, what is the cosmic level? Who knows? Anyway, we just need to add insult to injury, which can lower the opponent's morale and shake the opponent. The world once again shouted the name of the Black Dragon. Even though it was Akainu who did all this, everyone knew that it was Shane who used new methods to give his power to Akainu. Only then can Akainu absorb any cosmic poisonous gas. The reminder of increasing experience flashed crazily in Shane's mind, but he already had some. So he looked at Akainu and said to Akainu, "Father, Kizaru, Aokiji Admiral. 0. Please give me flowers. 0. Now that Shane has transcended the rank of Admiral, he calls them both by their first names. Stop playing and end this. I am no longer interested in them, but I am interested in their Captain Boros." Below, Aokiji scratched his head and said to Shane, "Shane, follow your will." Although I didn't address Shane as an honorific, my attitude was absolutely respectful. The same goes for Kizaru. The two of them know that Shane is no longer on the same level as them. This has nothing to do with him becoming a celestial dragon or becoming the sixth elder. This is Shane's transcendence in strength. And Aokiji and Kizaru respect Shane, which is their absolute respect for his strength. Akainu finally absorbed all the poisonous gas, as if his eyes exploded with golden light at this moment, full of power. He shouted, "Pelusalino, Kuzan, let me end this." After saying that, Akainu used super breathing again, but this time he exhaled. Extreme Cold also had an attack that transformed Gloliba's poisonous gas into it, and attacked the two of them crazily. The two of them looked at this majestic force, which was enough to bring a world-ending disaster to a planet. At this moment, Glolibas and Golyu Shopu were afraid. Any extraterrestrial pride or everything else was gone. The identities of hunter and prey are reversed, and they are the ants. "Lord Boros, save us." Goryu Ganshupu ran away frantically, using his telekinesis to fly to the spacecraft. However, all struggles are in vain in the face of an attack that can bring disaster to a planet. Glolibas and Goryu Ganshup were frozen in the ice, and at the same time, the attack transformed by the poisonous gas shattered the frozen two people into ice slag. Akainu attack stopped. Scary. The world-destroying power disappeared, and everything around him returned to calm. However, when everyone looked at the sea, sweat broke out on their foreheads. Quick, look, the whole sea is frozen. What the hell? Okay, so outrageous. What level of means does this achieve? All over the world, people are exclaiming, because not only the sea near Naval Headquarters has turned into ice, but all over the world has turned into ice. The entire planet is covered in ice. The world is shocked. Sengoku, Whitebeard and other former strong men were stunned. One attack affects the world. Has Shane's strength reached this level now? Holy place Mariajoy. The 5 elders are on hold. Glolibas and Goryuganshop died like this. Boros' 3 great generals were all killed. Shane's strength has refreshed my outlook on life, ha ha ha. Maybe he really can kill Boros. 5 elders are excited, Shane is so powerful, and I am sure it was right to choose him. As long as Boros is dead, people like them can sit back and relax without any fear. On the side, was also amazed at Shane's strength, but her face was still heavy. But it's not enough. Such strength cannot defeat Captain Boros. Perhaps if Shane is given a few more years, he can have the strength to defeat Boros. However, Boros has returned. Is there still such a chance? There is no more. Im's expression was lonely and full of regrets. It would have been nice if he could have had a few more years. The 5 elders looked at each other in astonishment. They never expected that Master Amu had not said enough. Attacks can bring disaster to a planet, isn't that enough? How scary is Boros? It's unimaginable. The 5 elders felt anxious. Naval Headquarters, all 3 generals are dead. On the throne, the system voice sounded in Sha En's mind. Congratulations to host for completing the pressure adjustment and Ren Lu. Completion mission reward. Unlock new attributes, Super Burst. This attribute can make the power of this explosion reach up to 10 times, close black lens bracket. Shane looked at the introduction and felt a little interested. Doesn't this mean it's equivalent to Kaio Fist? A very powerful attribute. This time, Shane is not afraid of Boros at all. At the same time, after completing the task, the system beeps again. Mission. Defeat Boros. In this battle, the damage ratio must reach 95%, and the number of deaths in the world must not exceed 5%. Talent Close Black Lens Bracket. Ads by Bid Gear. Chapter 81 Shane vs Boros. Boros. What kind of strength is this? Complete the mission and you will be able to unlock the maximum limit of Super Burst up to 20 times. At the same time, start the second ring mission. If you can defeat Boros within 20 minutes, you will receive an additional reward. all attributes will be upgraded to cosmic level. Close black lens bracket. Finally, you still don't want me to be idle. The mission this time is obviously for Shane to take action himself. But think about it, even if you don't get super explosion, you won't be sure when facing Boros. What about the 3 admirals? What I gave them were just 2 random attributes of my own, and they couldn't compete with Boros at all. So even if there is no such mission, he must take action. Shane stood up from the throne, then stepped towards the stairs step by step. Everyone in the world watched Shane walk down step by step, with respect for him in their eyes. When will you plant it yourself? Shane suddenly felt shocked. When did he become so positive? I didn't feel depressed, irritable or helpless. I actually felt that I had to stop Boros, because obviously everything had nothing to do with me. With my own personality, shouldn't I be depressed after seeing the mission? Shouldn't I be complaining about the system and have to do my own thing without giving myself any leisure? When I have changed. Shane was still walking, stepping down the endless stairs, but he was lost in thought. But when the surrounding people sang, cheered, and shouted his name, Shane's eyes regained their brightness. One after another, all kinds of eyes instilled trust and admiration into themselves. Shane walked, then laughed. Maybe he has figured out the reason. Master 8 Kings. Above the sky, Boros appeared on the top of the spaceship. He looked down, without any unnecessary expression on his face. Looking at the humans at the scene is like looking at ants that can be trampled at will. Although it's an ant, it's still worth my while. Boros said calmly. Kid, just thank me. Next, you will open up a new understanding and know that this world is not just about underground battles. At that time, you will understand what an honor it is for me to kill you. At this time, Shane had arrived at the execution platform from the long stairs and met with Sengoku and others. After listening to Boros's words, he completely dismissed him as fart and did not offend him. Sengoku, Garp and others were all around looking at Shane, and the 3 admirals also returned and gathered around Shane. Sengoku let out a breath and asked, is it okay for you to be alone? If necessary, we can also participate in the battle. Shane chuckled lightly, raised his eyebrows and asked, are you going to give someone a head? If he doesn't give them strength, they won't be able to survive Boros's men for a while, let alone face Boros. So there is no difference between having them and not having them. Sengoku, Garp and others were silent. Although it sounds ugly to Shane, it is the truth. However, Garp couldn't help but said, Shane, no matter how weak we are, we can still help at critical moments. Why? That's right. Sengoku nodded. Behind him, the red-haired man took the opportunity to speak. We can also help. Don't forget Shane, when we teamed up, we injured you. But at this moment, above the sky, Boros frowned, his face full of silence. How dare these little ants ignore their own words? They should be made aware of the consequences of ignoring themselves. Thinking of this, Boros raised his hand, and then waved at the Naval Headquarters below. Boom. The power of this slap exploded, a hurricane, an explosion, a terrifying force. In an instant, Naval Headquarters was reduced to nothing. The only people left at the scene were Shane on the execution platform, and Sengoku, Garp and other people around Shane. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw the powerful Naval Headquarters, Sengoku, Garp, and 4 emperors disappearing. Ultimate looked at everything in front of him in horror. Garp was here for a long time without saying a word. Except for Shane, everyone was frightened, and a super fear swept through their hearts. Let Sengoku, Garp and other strong men instantly lose their fighting power and the will to fight. The gap is too obvious. If it weren't for Shane, they would all be dead at this time. Around the world, some live broadcasts disappeared instantly, and the only footage was of the execution platform. And this shot allowed them to see the scene in Naval Headquarters at this moment, where everyone was dominated by fear. Monster. With a wave of your hand, the entire Marine Island ceases to exist. The Black Dragon Admiral doesn't have such strength, does he? How to fight this battle? Holy place Mariajoy. I am looked at the live screen, silent. The final battle is about to begin, and what kind of fate will you face? Maybe death will become a luxury for you. Im's eyes dimmed. Boros's move directly destroyed all the hopes of the world. Shane looked at the scene in front of him, his heart was filled with waves, and his eyes changed as if he was not interested in anything. Boros. Shane's tone was low, are you so impatient to seek death? Having killed so many people in one blow, fortunately the proportion of people in Naval Headquarters did not exceed 1%, otherwise the mission would have failed. Boros looked down at Shane, I just gave you the opportunity to talk to me, but you ignored this honor. Next, I will. Mom you. Boros spitted out his words halfway. He stared at Shane who suddenly appeared in front of him with wide eyes, unable to understand. Why did this ant get in front of me? Why didn't you notice it? Shane activated the effect. Instant flash, derived from super flying. As long as you look at it, there is a place that you can reach instantly. The punch of super power directly interrupted Boros's casting. Immediately afterwards, Shane fired heat sight, a super close heat sight, and this attribute, the closer the distance, the stronger the power. At extremely close range, Boros just screamed in pain. Not only that, Shane also used super breathing and super momentum. Use all your attack attributes to explode at close range. Everything happened in an instant. Boros was still chatting, but at this time, he was beaten by Shane and crashed into his own spaceship. When Boros fell, the armor on his body also shattered. Boros widened his single eye. My armor is broken. What did this ant in front of me do? Boros was shocked, this was something he had not expected. But soon, his shock subsided and his face became expressionless. He got off the wall of the spaceship, closed his eyes, and then shattered the armor on his body. As the armor shattered, he said in a deep voice, "This armor is used to seal my overly powerful power. Now I'm broken by you." Shane's expression didn't change at all, he just said calmly, "You talk too much." After hearing this, Boros suddenly laughed, his laughter reaching the extreme of wantonness. Then he crossed his hands and began to exert strength all over his body. The lines on his body burst out with light, as if he was accumulating energy. Then starting from Boros's palm, the dark skin spread to the whole body, and the hair stood up like thunder, exuding a faint light. The spine on the back seemed to have broken through the flesh and was exposed, with sharp thorns growing out. After Boros' transformation was completed, he opened his hands and suddenly opened his eyes, and in an instant, a majestic momentum rushed around. The spacecraft began to tremble, the earth began to tremble, cracks began to appear in the frozen sea, the ice surface shattered, the clouds surged, and the world shook. Everyone felt this suffocating momentum and were horrified to the point of ultimate. Around Boros, streaks of white light continued to pour out, and suddenly he shouted loudly, "Come on. Then it's time to despair." In just a short moment, Boros came to Shane, accompanied by loud shouts and fists falling like a rainstorm. Shane raised his hand to resist, but faced with Boros who was not restrained by armor, he was a little powerless. "I still overestimate my basic strength." Without any hesitation, Shane immediately activated his super explosion double. Boom. A breath burst out from Shane's body, and the breath lingered around his body, wrapping him in the breath. The explosive energy also bounced Boros away, interrupting his attack rhythm. Boros was very surprised, the momentum is getting stronger. Then his eyes widened and he said excitedly, "That's it. That's it. It turns out that you can also transform, no wonder you are so calm." Ha 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 ha. Boros suddenly became excited, "Very good. Ant, I recognize your strength. Come on. Use your transformation power to stimulate me and make me feel that this world will not be too boring." Shane ignored it, looked down at his hands, and then at the aura erupting from his body. This made him couldn't help but chuckle in his heart, it was a bit like a Super Saiyan exploding, and the aura was also golden. Is this a tribute? Shane was amusing himself in his mind. At this moment, Boros' attack struck again, attacking Shane crazily with terrifying power and terrifying speed. Shane raised his eyebrows slightly. It seemed that facing Boros in his liberated form, doubling his strength was not enough. Shane simply whispered. Twice. Boom. The aura surged again, and this time Boros was not surprised, but became more and more excited. His attack became more fierce, chasing Shane madly and outputting, "Very good. Great. I'm on fire. I'm on fire. Finally I feel that life is no longer so boring and I am looking for exciting things. Is this all your power? Do you want me to see it?" Boros and Shane almost turned into two rays of light and moved quickly on the spacecraft. Below, the strong men like Sengoku and Garp were dumbfounded. Hey. Aokiji was stunned. Did you see the movements of the two of them clearly? No one answered because no one could see clearly. They only saw two beams of light. Holy place Mariajoy. Everyone in the five elders stared crazily at the live broadcast screen, their eyes rolling, trying to keep up with the actions of Shane and Boros. But they couldn't keep up, it was just two beams of light chasing each other. I'm so annoyed. Who has the upper hand now? I don't know, completely. I.M. lost her composure. When she just saw Boros unleash all his power, she felt that everything was over. However, the development of things was beyond her expectation. Shane was actually still fighting Boros at this time, and it seemed that they were evenly matched. Too exaggerated. When did Shane's strength reach this level? I am completely unable to understand why Shane has different new methods every time he takes action. What is the golden aura erupting around you this time? I am now has an urge to capture Shane and cut him into slices for research to see how many secrets he has. However, Shane is no longer something she can deal with. I am gritted her teeth, and she suddenly made up her mind and made a decision. Five elders. She suddenly said, "Let's go to the scene." The five elders were all horrified, wondering if Lord I.M. was joking. However, I.M. is very serious. At present, I only see the possibility of Shane defeating Boros. But it only limits 5.0 to the state of Boros. He must not be allowed to open the third form. Once he starts a meteor burst, and goes beyond the limits of biological nature, there is no hope. I am going to remind Shane. The five elders were very hesitant, and Boros's power frightened them. But thinking about it, if Boros uses the form that I am said to defeat Shane, they will still die in the end. He simply gritted his teeth and agreed to I am and went to the scene. Naval Headquarters, Live. Boros was extremely excited and dealt crazy output to Shane. At this time, Shane was using 2x Super Burst, which still hurt a little when he was attacked by Boros. He simply broke out again and used it 3 times. Boros became more and more crazy, using fists and kicks. After attacking Shane with 1 punch, he seized this opportunity and started to deal crazy output. The fist burst into flames at the ultimate speed. Thunder, fire, and terrifying power all hit Shane's body. And Shane finally felt no pain this time. No. There was still a slight sting when he accidentally hit a bone occasionally. Cool. Your name is Shane, right? Ha 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 ha. Boros, remember your name. As he spoke, Boros suddenly raised his hand and punched Shane with a terrifying force. This punch was an uppercut. With 1 punch, all the clouds in the sky spread tens of thousands of miles around the fist. At the same time, Boros gave Shane the last words. Shane. I haven't encountered such an evenly matched opponent for a long time. Ads by Bid Gear. Chapter 82. Boros is completely defeated. What the hell? Frieza showed up. Shane felt pain. Boros' punch was like accidentally hitting the table, that kind of pain. It hurts. Shane lowered his head silently, patiently trying to relieve the pain first, of course. There was no change in his expression, he just lowered his head silently. Below, Boros' move made Sengoku, Garp and others' hearts almost reach their throats. Sengoku, Garp and other surviving strong men murmured. Seeing Shane lower his head, everyone felt that it was going to be bad. Could it be that Boros' shocking punch killed Shane's life? Everyone around the world is worried. Shane had never lowered his head before, but now he has lowered his head. Defeated. On site, the 5 elders used the formation to teleport to the scene. When I.M. saw this scene, Shin suddenly raised his throat. Are you late? I.M.'s pupils shrank, and fear enveloped his whole body. Sure enough, Boros couldn't lose, and his captain couldn't be defeated. At this moment, I.M. only had one thought in his mind, which was to escape from here. However, a voice that had frightened I.M. for more than 800 years came faintly. Yo. Isn't this my toy Xiaoyam? It seems that the transformation of you was very successful. It has been more than 800 years and there has been no change at all. Ha 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 ha. Looking at I.M. with fear on his face, Boros laughed ferociously. So afraid of me? If you're so scared of me, why did you let Shane try to kill me? When her intention was exposed, I.M.'s whole body went cold. The fear made her collapse on the ground and lost her soul. Thinking of falling into the hands of Boros, she planned to commit suicide, but at this time she didn't even have the strength to raise her hand. Boros said that she was his toy and he could not commit suicide without his permission. Ha 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 ha. Boros looked at I.M., as if he saw his toy under his complete control, and smiled even more happily. 07 But he quickly stopped smiling and just sneered slightly. Little I.M., don't be afraid, your savior is not dead yet. I.M. suddenly raised his head and looked at Shane, and saw that Shane had raised his head again and was moving his neck. Her pupils suddenly widened, and ecstasy filled her body. She was really not dead. Boros's words came again. Although I am not dead now, I will die next. Hehehehe. He is very strong. He has my approval and I remember his guest. Then he can die in the most glorious form, that is, in my meteor explosion form. After saying that, Boros immediately made a sprinting gesture, and at the same time began to accumulate energy around his body. An energy field formed around him, and the thunder turned black. Boros' momentum continues to rise, and the momentum alone makes the world start to tremble, and the entire planet is affected. I.M. was shocked. This was the reason why she came here in person. Boros must not be allowed to transform into the meteor explosion form, otherwise there would be no interview. She burst out with the greatest courage in her life and shouted in front of her nightmare captain, Shane, interrupt Boros' transformation. We must not let him use meteor burst. Otherwise you will die. Boros glanced at I.M., and this look made I.M. tremble all over, and his voice stopped abruptly. On the opposite side, Shane raised his eyebrows, and meteors exploded. Is it the posture of transforming into a snow-white body? Forget it. Shane didn't think about it anymore, and he naturally didn't intend to give Boros a chance to transform. Only a fool would give the opponent a chance to transform, and he would definitely have to interrupt the spell casting. Even if Shane could kill Boros easily, he wouldn't let Boros transform, that would be too much trouble. So Shane used Blink to come around Boros, punched out, and blasted Boros into the interior of the spacecraft. The next second, Boros roared, Shane. It's too late, Lousy has already transformed. Boros jumped out of the spaceship. At this time, his whole body was white and covered with various black lines. Seeing this gesture, I.M. was hollowed out again and lost his soul. It's over, everything is over. Boros finally transformed. Shane raised his eyebrows and nodded slightly to express his approval. You have indeed become super strong. 3 times is definitely not enough. 4 times is still a bit short, so Shane simply uses 5 times super explosion. The moment Shane took out 5 times, Boros' attack followed. With the power to destroy the world, Boros punched Gen N in the face. Boom. 1 inch. The power of the fist exploded, and an ultimate energy explosion was produced. This energy spread and swallowed up the spaceship. Boros' subordinates inside the spacecraft had no time to escape and were turned into powder under the terrifying power. Sengoku, Garp and other strong men had their views shattered. At this time, they had no words other than shock. Boros' punch caused the entire sky to be filled with flames, and both the day and the night on the other side were illuminated red. Hey ha 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 ha. Lousy finally won. Lousy is still invincible. Ha ha ha. Boros is ecstatic. Shane is dead, he is still invincible. Okay. He suddenly turned his head and looked down at I.M. The next step is to settle the score between us. At this time, Yi Mu was so desperate that he accepted his fate without saying a word. However, at this moment, a voice that was very familiar to everyone came. Hey, I'm not defeated yet. Everyone looked up in disbelief. Boros also turned his head in astonishment and looked at the source of the sound, and saw Shane walking out of the world-destroying fire. The clothes on his body were in tatters, like a beggar's, but apart from some scratches, there were no serious injuries. Boros widened his single eye, and his pupil almost shrank to a small point. Why are you still standing? Why are you okay? Boros couldn't understand that he had punched beyond the limit of life. No matter how tenacious the opponent was, he would still be seriously injured, right? Otherwise it would be too disrespectful. Shane moved his joints. I haven't lost yet, so I'm standing. But I plan to get rid of you next, and then quickly go back and lie down. So sleepy. Boros was stimulated by these words, he became furious, and the energy in his body exploded again. Are you kidding me? You want to get rid of me? You actually said you wanted to get rid of me. Ha ha ha, it's a daily joke. Lousy is going to use the collapse star roaring cannon in the dark night form to make you and this planet disappear. Boros burst out again, I will release all my power and completely destroy you and your planet. Thunder flashed and exploded. With Boros as the center, everything around him was melted by the high temperature, and an unprecedented terrifying power appeared in the pirate world. Boros released all his power, even if my lifespan will be shortened because of this, so what? Shane, killing you will make my life valuable, interesting and exciting. Shane, Boros has formed a dazzling light cluster, which is a bit like the scene when a supernova explodes. Of course, the power that Boros explodes is far from the power of a supernova explosion. At most, he can destroy this planet. Collapse star roaring cannon. When the light reached its peak, Boros roared. A terrifying energy beam fell from the sky. The power of this beam of light makes the world tremble and despair, everything in front of it becomes cannon fodder. Shane looked at the power of fear and said solemnly, then I will also use my trump card. 10. Shane said it calmly, but the moment he turned on super explosion 10 times, large-scale earthquakes began to occur around the world. All his attributes have now reached world class, and now they have been increased 10 times on this basis. The planet couldn't bear it any longer. Mountains collapsed, volcanoes erupted, and ice sheets shattered. The world seems to have entered a countdown. Shane, Boros roared, and the roar echoed throughout the world. What a powerful force. Come on. Let Lousy see if you are as powerful as that person. Let me see if you are qualified to fight that person. The light beam fell, and the center exploded. However, when Shane punched his most powerful punch, the power that could destroy the world stopped. The next second, this power began to flow backwards and began to move towards the sky. No. Impossible. Boros looked at everything in front of him, and saw that his energy, which was enough to destroy a planet, was punched back by Shane. At this moment, time seemed to have stopped. He thought about the prophecy and the prophet who was killed by him. It turned out that everything that person said was true. I will really die, killed by someone he thought was an ant. The power of the collapsing stars soaring into the sky swallowed Boros, and this beam of light turned the spacecraft under his feet into powder. Boros's eyes widened, and the beads in his body shattered at this moment. Ah, a complicated laugh ended it all. The more terrifying the power, the faster the power dissipates, because its speed is extremely terrifying. After Bengsheng's power disappeared from the planet, everything returned to calm, and only the sky was cloudless. The breeze rustles. The execution platform had already been damaged in the aftermath. Fortunately, Akainu's super breath absorbed most of the energy, and people like Aokiji Kizaru resisted. This allowed people like Sengoku, 4 emperors, IM, and 5 elders to be fine. Everyone poked their heads out from the ruins and looked at everything in front of them with complex eyes. Not, is it over? Elder Sardan asked tremblingly. High probability it's over. Who can't win? Our planet is not destroyed. There is a high probability that Shane will win. This name appears in everyone's mind like the name of God. I am shocked by ultimate, just like in a dream, really. Did Shane really win? Freed yourself. The poor king of the world, who had been shrouded in fear for more than 800 years, seemed to have been drained of his soul, sitting slumped on the ground without any image. Shane really wins. Because everyone saw Shane's straight and proud body in the distance. Shane. Akainu is ecstatic, he roars. He was sitting there, without any pretense as usual, showing concern as a father. When the war ended, Shane had already released Super Grant, so Akainu could only run 670. 1. Sengoku and Garp's eyes were bright, and everyone's eyes were filled with joy of seeing the sky clear. Far away, a hoarse, dying voice sounded in the distance. Did I lose? Shane raised his eyebrows and unexpectedly turned his head to look at Boros on the ground. At this time, he looked haggard, his body was broken, and his eyes could no longer see the slightest trace of life. Are you still conscious? The vitality is really tenacious. Shane smiled lightly. You are really strong. He didn't have any intention of joking, he was serious. As expected, this is a battle of equals. Shane turned his head and didn't look at Boros again. Ah. Yes. At this time, Boros couldn't help laughing. You're lying. You obviously still have strength. And I have no power to fight back. In fact, you can kill me instantly from the beginning. Thank you so much for giving me a chance to fight heartily. Shane was indifferent. After a moment, he interrupted Boros and said, Boros, you talk a lot. Boros laughed again, consuming the last of his life. But, Shane, killing me is not a good thing. My death will let Master Frieza know about this planet. His combat power is dozens of times higher than mine. I need to burst out with all my strength to destroy a planet, but he can destroy a planet while talking and laughing. Shane, you know what you're about to face. What kind of horror is it? Shane's eyes widened and he turned to look at Boros in disbelief. Frieza, hey, what's going on? Why is there another Frieza? Boros. Shane asked, what happened to Frieza? However, Boros did not respond, and the talkative Boros was declared dead. The gentle breeze blew, Shane fell into silence. Frieza. I have a headache. At the same time, after Boros died, a systematic voice sounded in his mind. Congratulations to host for completing the mission, the reward unlocks the upper limit of Super Burst. It can be up to 20 times. Congratulations on completing the second ring mission. The battle lasted 5 minutes. All attributes were rewarded and promoted to the universe level. All attributes were improved, and Shane felt his energy explode. Previously, he could shatter the planet with one punch when his super explosion was 10 times stronger. Now Shane feels that he doesn't need to use super explosion as he can smash a planet with one punch. There are also other attributes that have become super awesome. Ads by Bid Gear. Chapter 83 With my blood, all living beings will be resurrected. World hails, Shane's grand celebration. Super flying, the current speed is equivalent to flash, within a short distance, and it can cross 1,000 meters in the blink of an eye. However, the disadvantage compared to flashing is that it has a process, that is, starting, sprinting, and reaching this process. But there is no flicker. Using flicker, you can get big from the beginning, which omits a process. In the battle with those strong men who have transcended levels, instant flash is absolutely useful, because when there is a process, there will be redundant movements, and if there are superfluous movements, there will be more flaws. The opponent is likely to seize this flaw to attack. But one of the disadvantages of instant flash is that it requires too much physical energy, which is at least dozens of times more consumed than a simple burst of speed. This is one of the reasons why Shane sometimes uses instant flash sparingly, as it consumes too much. Therefore, there are pros and cons between both, and it is the safest and most appropriate one to use according to the situation. What I have to mention is that the derivative effect of instant flash has also been improved in this all attribute improvement. Currently, your instant flash can reach anywhere on the entire planet. Shane felt a little emotional that he would soon be able to teleport between planets in advance. But how will you achieve your positioning across the planet? Currently, the reason why Shane can blink across the entire planet relies on his perception. In other words, Shane's perception has reached the entire planet. As long as there is any abnormal movement of powerful people on this planet, he will be able to sense it immediately. Then comes the improvement of super breathing, which can still absorb special gases, but the most critical improvement is that it can breathe in an oxygen-free environment. In other words, Shane can still survive after entering the universe. Shane smiled. Now he was completely out of touch with the pirate world and moving towards a higher level. Super defense, in addition to increasing defense power, it also adds the function of regulating biological functions. To put it bluntly, when you are in the universe, in extremely cold conditions, you can ensure that your body temperature will not be lost and your biological functions will be guaranteed. Super healing adds the properties of immortality of consciousness and immortality of body. As long as one's ideology is not destroyed, even if one's body is completely destroyed, one can guarantee immortality and be resurrected. Regarding the lack of popularity of ideology, Shane was at a loss and did not understand what this sentence meant. Once a person dies, doesn't ideology disappear with him? How can we be resurrected in this way? That's it. Since you don't know clearly, just don't think about it. Shane has this kind of character. Anyway, I don't know, so why do I think about him? I think too much, and after thinking deeply, I still don't know, so I simply don't think about anything. This is Shane's way of life. Next is the improvement of super blood. It's over. Behind him, Sengoku murmured as he looked at the ruins in front of him. Ah, it's over. Garp responded with a nasal voice, and then he sat down on the ground. The faces of the others, 3 Admiral, were full of desolation and pain, without any joy of victory. Behind him, the 4 Emperors, who had escaped from their bonds due to the aftermath of the war, did not escape at this time. Firstly, since Shane is here, there is no point in escaping. Secondly, given the current situation, what is the point of escaping? All Marine except Sengoku, Garp, and the 3 Admirals were destroyed. Even if they are natural enemies, facing the instant death of human beings at this moment, the 4 Emperors feel as if they are dead. Haha. The red-haired man smiled sadly. This is a blow from a powerful person. Such a level is no longer something that we, the people, can surpass just by working hard. Whitebeard was silent. At this time, he felt that his strongest man had become a joke. If it were not for Shane today, the whole world would be destroyed. Kaido, Big Mom and other vicious pirates suddenly felt that everything they and others had pursued before was a joke. No matter how hard they fought, they finally became the king of the world. What would happen if they got the great secret treasure? Playing house. Everything they do is just a game of house in the eyes of these alien visitors. Ridiculous. And sad. With a wave of his hand, tens of thousands of creatures perished. Even if we win this war in the end, so what? And at this moment, a faint voice floated over. It's too quiet. It's really strange. I obviously liked peace and quiet before, but why am I suddenly not used to it now? Very strange. Sengoku, Garp, the 3 Admirals, and the 4 Emperors, as well as the arriving Amu, the 5 Elders, and others all looked up and looked thickly. I saw Shane floating in the air. Shane. Akainu murmured, calling for his son. Is it pure? Yeah. Can't it be quiet? Naval Headquarters is gone. Just when everyone felt the pain, Shane in the air raised his hand, and in everyone's eyes, he condensed a huge bead. Shane. Sengoku, the 3 Admirals, the 5 Elders and I am were all puzzled. What is this going to do? Shane, are you trying to resurrect the dead? Akainu put it bluntly. In fact, everyone else had guessed it too. But all those people's corpses were turned into powder, how are you going to resurrect them? I am suddenly asked, intending to dissuade Shane and not let him waste his efforts. Everyone's eyes were attracted to I am, seeing the 5 Elders surrounding her, wondering who she was. But who cares about who I am is now? It's all about Shane. Shane looked at Yim out of the corner of his eye, and the sight made Yim tremble and he didn't dare to speak again. King of the world, are you kidding? Now if Shane asks her to shine his shoes, she will obediently do it. In front of Shane, all living beings are equal. Shane didn't intend to do anything to I am. After retracting his gaze, he raised the condensed blood balls into the air. Then he shouted loudly, use my blood to resurrect all living beings. After finishing speaking, Shane suddenly coughed dryly and blushed a little. I was a little embarrassed, so I took the 2nd grade. He returned to his previous carelessness, and then he separated his hands, and the blood balls exploded in the air. Blood rain fell on the earth, fell on the ruins, and fell on every inch of land destroyed by Boros. Several people at the scene looked blankly at the rain of blood in the sky. Shahuo. Can there be resurrection without a corpse? At this moment, among the ruins, there began to be movement, and life began to appear. Sengoku, Garp, 4 Emperors, 5 Elders, I am and others had dull expressions, and they all immediately exploded. Observation Haki sensed the surroundings. Under their observation Haki perception, life appeared in the ruins one by one. 1, 2, 3, hundreds, thousands, 40,000. This. Sengoku was in disbelief. Everyone is being resurrected. You can be resurrected after being turned into powder. Garp was stunned. Although resurrecting Marine is a great thing for them, is it a bit unrealistic? It's okay to have a physical body, heal the injuries, and then return to life. But how can you be resurrected without a physical body, without anything, not even a little bit of blood? Reshape the physical body. From zero to a whole. Sakazuki. Aokiji looked at Akainu and asked absent-mindedly. Are you sure you gave birth to Shane, not him? Akainu's face turned dark. What does it mean that Shane gave birth to me? Why are you swearing like this? But this time Akainu didn't refute. He himself was confused. His son was too heaven-defying, right? There are tens of thousands of Marines who can be resurrected and turned into powder using blood. This method can be called a god. Whitebeard was stunned. Resurrecting all living beings, what is this if not a god? Red hair, Kaido, Big Mom and other 4 emperors looked dull and distracted. Wait, my horns. Kaido quickly touched his horns and found that his horns had grown back. My injuries have also healed. The ant was also extremely shocked. The injuries from the previous battle with Shane were healed at this moment. Not only the recent injuries, but also the old diseases on the body have been healed. Whitebeard's pupils trembled violently, in the rain of Shane's blood. His old illness was cured. Everyone's injuries were healed, whether they were scars or other stubborn illnesses. The ant was in disbelief. She looked at Whitebeard, Kaido and others and said, "Isn't Shane afraid that we will escape from here after we recover?" After hearing this, the red-haired, Whitebeard and Kaido looked at the ant with strange expressions. What is this guy talking about? The red-haired man shook his head and laughed, sighing. Auntie, sometimes you are quite smart, but sometimes you are too stupid, right? Shane now, are you still afraid of us running away? Give us a few hundred courages, will we dare to escape? Kaido interrupted and spoke disdainfully. Taking a step back, even if we really escape, what will happen? Do we still dare to show up again? Boros defeated tens of thousands of people with a single wave, and he was defeated by Shane. In front of Shane, we are just brothers. Sengoku, Garp and the three admirals all looked at Kaido with strange expressions. The strongest creature actually said such a thing. However, Kaido didn't take it seriously. What for? He asked Marine why everyone was looking at him. Did I make a mistake? Stop talking about me. Who among you is not a younger brother in front of Shane? Sengoku, Garp, even the five elders and I didn't say anything. It seemed like this. However, at this moment, Akainu silently interjected. I am Shane's father. Everyone couldn't help but look at Akainu, speechless for a moment. At this time, Akainu looked very calm on the outside, but he was laughing wildly in his heart. It was so cool. It was so cool. Shane is my son, are you envious of him? You are his younger brothers, and Lousy is his son. Ahem. He is my son. Akainu was very lucky that he didn't say it out loud because he was too excited and made a slip of the tongue. Marines were resurrected one by one, which slightly reduced the gloom on the faces of Sengoku, Garp and the three admirals. Crane, Zephyr, Momosuke, Smoker, T-Dolphin, Smoker, Ghost Spider, the generals reappeared one by one. They looked around confused, looking at the ruins around him. Are we dead? Is this hell or heaven? Alas, I seem to know what the final result will be in reality. I wonder if the Black Dragon Admiral killed Boros. Boros is so strong, he can. And while the resurrected soldiers were discussing, someone suddenly shouted, what the hell? Boros, look, isn't this Boros' body? The sound caused 1,000 waves, and the soldiers present were all surprised. Boros's body. What the hell? Looking around, he saw Boros's withered body. All the soldiers present were shocked. It's really Boros' corpse. F***K. The Black Dragon Admiral is here too. Look at the sky. The Black Dragon Admiral is here too. What happened? Could it be that the Black Dragon Admiral died together with Boros in the end? Tens of thousands of soldiers were confused and could not figure out the current situation. At this time, Sengoku's voice echoed from all directions. Everyone. Everyone couldn't help but look around and saw Sengoku and other Marine senior officials. Sengoku is holding a phone, while Garp is busy doing something. All around the world, everyone was waiting anxiously. The live broadcast screen was covered with snowflakes and there was no picture at all. How did the battle between the Black Dragon Admiral and Boros end? I don't know, it's really nerve-wracking. If the Black Dragon Admiral also fails, our world will be over. No, the Black Dragon Admiral will definitely protect us. Although many people around the world do this, more than 80% of people have no idea. Boros is so strong. Many people are ready to die. If the Black Dragon Admiral is also defeated, then we will follow the Black Dragon Admiral. And at this moment, someone suddenly exclaimed, there is a picture coming. Yes, it's Marshal Sengoku. Everyone's heart was in their throats, they were afraid that Sengoku would finally come to announce bad news. At least they are still holding on to a glimmer of hope, but once Sengoku announces the actual situation, then hope will be dashed. On the screen, Sengoku saw that the live broadcast had begun. He straightened his expression, and then said in a deep voice, everyone. I will announce the final results to the compatriots present and to compatriots from all over the world. This is not hell, nor heaven, this is Naval Headquarters. Boros was defeated by Shane, and you people were resurrected by Shane with his blood. In this war, a war from outer space, we achieved a perfect victory. Shane protected us. Let's not have a single casualty. 7. At the same time, he protected the whole world. Sengoku's voice was like a bell, resounding like thunder throughout the entire audience. At the same time, the re-established live broadcast resounded around the world. After hearing the results, the headquarters and the rest of the world were silent for a second, and the next second the world erupted in cheers. Victory. The Black Dragon Admiral really did it. Ha ha ha, let me just say that the Black Dragon Admiral is invincible. Ads by Bid Gear. Chapter 84 Frieza attacks. The ruins of the headquarters were like a celebration. No, it should be said that the whole world is like a celebration. People cheered, jumped for joy, and congratulated Shane. The terror brought by Boros once made people despair, but the repercussions after this despair will be several times greater than ordinary situations. Shane is awesome. Shane is invincible. Junin is our invincible patron saint. As long as Shane is here, our world will not perish. Shane, Shane, Shane. In the air, Shane listened to the cheers of the people in the ruins of his headquarters, and listened to the people shouting his name and expressing their gratitude to him. Many people even cried with joy because of their emotions. After the despair is peeled away, rainbow hair is wonderful. Sounds came into my ears one after another, some from the ruins of my headquarters, and some from all over the world. Shane heard the gratitude, admiration and reverence for him from people all over the world. For a moment, Shane seemed to have a clear understanding. This is ideology. This is human ideology. In other words, as long as this planet is not on fire, then you can be resurrected. 083. The level of improvement in my super healing is amazing. Shane feels that this feeling is just like everyone being his believers. As long as believers keep their faith in themselves, they will not perish. Not bad. In this way, in the future, if a strong man from the universe drags him to fight on other planets, even if he dies in battle, as long as the planet is fine and humans are still around, he can be resurrected indefinitely. And just when the entire pirate world is like a celebration, deep in the universe. Frieza sat on the seat of a spaceship, looking at the signal on the screen with a smile. Then he asked his deputy, as the Ginyu Special Forces about to arrive. The deputy didn't dare to show any signs of neglect, for fear that Frieza would be killed if he was slow. He was respectful, raised his head and responded, "Report to Lord Frieza. The Ginyu Special Forces have about 10 minutes to reach the planet where Boros died." Frieza raised his eyebrows upon hearing this, then he smiled sinisterly and said, "Are you despising me?" The deputy looked confused and frightened at the same time. He knelt down directly in front of Frieza. "Ahef, Lord Frieza, I don't mean to despise you at all. It's too late for me to show my respect, Frieza-sama." The deputy frantically expressed his loyalty, but Frieza smiled indifferently and said, "If you want to explain, I'll leave it to the next life." After saying that, he killed the deputy while he was shouting, "Spare my life." Everyone around him was horrified and silent. Frieza didn't care at all, he was just unhappy and said to himself, "You dare to show off in front of this king just because you were a little tall. I'm really tired of living." The surrounding men immediately understood why the deputy died, and they all felt pity for him. At the same time, everyone lowered their waists. Frieza saw this and smiled sideways. "Are you ready for the transmission imaging technology?" After hearing this, the subordinates present quickly reported, "Lord Frieza, the transmission imaging can work at any time." He. Frieza chuckled, "Tell everyone on that planet that their planet will be sold by us. They have two choices, either commit suicide or be killed by us." The subordinates were sweating on their foreheads, but they quickly agreed to Frieza's factory orders. "Yes, Lord Frieza, we will make arrangements right now." Pirate planet. Victories are being celebrated all over the world, and Shane's name can be heard being discussed around the world. The expressions of the 5 elders, Sengoku, 4 emperors and others became solemn again. Boros just said that there is a more powerful master behind him. Sengoku said quietly, with worry on his face. "Whoever can become the master of Boros must have terrifying strength." said in a deep voice. She knew the character of her captain, who was extremely arrogant. As long as he was not so overwhelming that he could be defeated almost in a game, it was absolutely impossible for Boros to bow his head. And since Boros recognizes the opponent's master, it is enough to show that the opponent's strength is extremely terrifying, and he can almost treat Boros as a toy. Everyone looked at who had just revealed his identity. Everyone knew that the world government had deceived the entire world, and they were very angry. But now that the enemy is facing them, there is no need to worry about these things. Not to mention no one is in the mood to execute the 4 emperors now, and they are even discussing with the 4 emperors the next Frieza's arrival. If Boros can be played as a toy, how can we defeat him? Kaido frowned. The red-haired man, Whitebeard and others were speechless and looked at Kaido with strange expressions. Sneered again and again, "Kaido, can you think through your mind when you speak? How do we defeat him? We can't even defeat Boros, let alone that master." "Damn it." Garp clenched his fists and gritted his teeth, very willingly. This feeling of powerlessness is so uncomfortable. Everyone is helpless, why aren't they like this? In the past, their combat power was top-notch in the world, but now they are of no use at all. As small characters who could only watch, this gap made them very uncomfortable. Everyone had no choice but to look at Shane, who was now the only one they could rely on. However, when everyone looked at Shane on the side, they were stunned by him. "What the hell? I saw Shane getting an easy chair from somewhere, sitting on the side and drinking a drink. The enemy is in front of you, why don't you have a drink?" Everyone was shocked. "What is this? Giving up on yourself?" The people at the scene were speechless, but they couldn't say anything. Although the world doesn't explicitly say that Shane is the king of the world, in essence he is already the king. No. In other words, he is essentially the leader of people all over the world. But, is this behavior really okay? What they didn't know was that Shane was unusually calm at this time, and now all his attributes had been upgraded to the cosmic level. And super explosion has reached a maximum of 20 times, so what are you afraid of? Of course, this does not mean that Shane is sure to defeat Frieza completely, but that he believes that the system will give him tasks at special times so that he can continue to become stronger. And just when everyone was speechless at Shane's behavior, suddenly a huge screen appeared above the sky. Screens appeared almost everywhere in the world, and Frieza's shadow appeared on them. Ads by Bid Gear. Chapter 85. The Ginyu Special Forces appear. At the scene, many people raised their eyes to look at the sky and high in the sky. That's. Garp was surprised. Others are also confused and unable to understand the current situation. That's Frieza. Shane's voice suddenly came out, causing everyone around to tense up and become nervous. That's Frieza. Sengoku looked intently. Everyone else also stared at him and made a fighting stance. Why do you feel so weak in combat? Garp murmured. He couldn't help but turn his head and look at the others. I think so, Whitebeard agreed. It's because this guy is very short. The red-haired man revealed the truth. Everyone was suddenly stunned. It was definitely because of this. This guy called Frieza is so short. Shane couldn't help but touch his nose, feeling funny. So he reminded. When Frieza arrives, don't say this. I'm afraid I can't stop it. Everyone looked at each other in silence. Apparently it was not their imagination that Frieza was shorter. It's really short. At this moment, Frieza on the screen above the sky finally spoke. Hello everyone. My name is Frieza. Everyone was surprised and talking a lot, wondering who this person called Frieza was. When Boros said those words before his death, everyone in Naval Headquarters was dead, and the live phone bug was also destroyed, so the world didn't know about it. Except for Sengoku and a few other Marines, 4 Emperors and I am, no one knows about Frieza. I am here to inform you of this projection. Your planet will become my commodity and will be sold by me. And I give you 2 choices, one is to commit suicide, and the other is to be killed by us. Hey. Of course, you can also organize people to resist, but my elite troops will arrive soon, and you have 1 minute to prepare. Ha, but I advise you to use this minute to go crazy and wreak havoc. Because my elite troops are absolutely irresistible to you people. Each of them is as strong as Boros, and the captain among them can easily defeat Boros. Everyone who was still confused at first was horrified after hearing Frieza's words, and their cheers suddenly stopped. Someone wants to invade our planet again. It's really like one wave after another. Team Ginyu. Everyone is as strong as Boros. These are still Frieza's subordinates, so how strong is Frieza himself? Thinking of Boros, there are 5 people who can kill nearly 100,000 people with a single wave, and among them, the captain can easily defeat Boros. How to fight this? Even the Black Dragon Admiral did not defeat Boros so easily. Why is this happening to us? We are just an ordinary planet, what can we sell? I'm afraid that the Black Dragon Admiral's attack will be useless this time. The opponent also has Frieza behind the scenes. How terrifying will it be to be the leader of the Ginyu Special Forces? The world was as silent as a cicada, shrouded in fear again. And this time the fear was bigger and more intense than before. Sengoku sighed helplessly. I didn't want the world to know about it, for fear of causing panic, but I didn't expect it to be known. Others are also helpless. There is no way around this. Who would have thought that the other party's technology can actually achieve this level? Suddenly, there was a rumble in the sky. Everyone looked up and saw 5 meteorite-like things falling to the ground. After reaching the ground, it didn't slow down at all and hit the ice directly. What is that? Meteorite? No. Yes, someone came out. The crowd was surprised. In the thick fog caused by the falling of 5 unknown objects, 5 people actually walked out of the concentration. Only a few people were seen wearing strange combat uniforms, with confident smiles on their faces. They looked at the tens of thousands of Marines present as if they were looking at ants. Completely dismissive. Above the sky, Frieza on the screen said with a sinister smile, everyone, this is Team Ginyu. I hope you can give them a good time before I arrive. After everyone heard that it was the Ginyu Special Forces, they looked nervous and sweaty. This is the Ginyu Special Forces. 0. Please give me flowers. An invisible sense of oppression made them breathless, their whole bodies were dominated by rage, and many people were unable to move. From behind, Sengoku, Garp and others stared at the Ginyu Special Forces, looking ugly. The arrival of several of them brought them a huge sense of oppression, which was indeed no less than that of Boros. The guy in the middle with horns on his head and blue skin feels even more oppressive. Obviously, that is the captain. All over the world, the atmosphere is depressing and condensed. Crisis has come to the world again. Just when the air on this planet seems to be stagnant. Suddenly, Raikumu, who had red hair on his head, said, "Oh." This sound shocked everyone present and made people's hearts tremble. Is there going to be a war? 0.0. Everyone is prepared to face the attack of the Ginyu Special Forces at any time. However, I saw Lickum flexing his muscles, then striking a strange pose, and then shouted, "Lickum. Bart. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Jadu. They all made strange gestures, but in terms of strangeness, Captain Ginyu who was responsible for them was even more strange. He lowered his head to his crotch, opened his hands and said, Ginyu. While the entire audience was stunned, the members of Team Ginyu shouted once again, everyone, gather. It was like opening some kind of mechanism, and the 5 people formed a combination pose, Ginyu Force. Everyone in Marine was stunned. Sengoku and the others, the 4 emperors, and I am were even more confused, and the whole world was messy in the wind. Shane called it a classic in his heart. When he was chasing Dragon Ball 7, he laughed at this scene. Above the sky, on the screen, Frieza's expression was slightly dull. Even if you look closely, you can see a slight blush on his face. Frieza felt embarrassed. However, Team Ginyu didn't care if they blended in. They looked like as long as I'm not embarrassed, the only thing that's embarrassing is others' sense of deja vu. Ginyu grinned and said to everyone in the audience, I will give you a chance to survive now. Come and tell me who killed Boros. As long as you are the first to tell me, then you will be the only survivor in this world. Z. Ads by Bid Gear. Chapter 86 4 Emperors volunteered. Coming here this time is one purpose to sell the planet, and another purpose to see who killed Boros. Ginyu planned to use the simplest and crudest threat of life to get everyone present to tell who killed Boros. From Ginyu's point of view, this kind of trick works every time, and no one can remain calm in the face of death. However, what Ginyu didn't expect was that these humans with low combat effectiveness would dare to confront him. Want us to betray our savior? Dream on. You foreign invaders, get out of our planet. We, Marine, will definitely always be at the forefront. Tens of thousands of Marines are all ready to go, and no one has confessed Shane. Opposite, everyone in the Ginyu Special Forces team was very surprised. They didn't expect that these scumbags were so courageous. Above the sky of 767, Frieza used the projection to see everything in sight, and he chuckled, HMPH, hum. It's really a united ethnic group, but such an ethnic group is often the easiest to destroy. Ginyu, since they don't need this opportunity, then don't give it to them. Use your detector to find out who has the highest combat effectiveness among the people present. That's who killed Boros. Ginyu nodded in approval, Lord Frieza, you are really wise. Boros' combat power at his peak reached about 100,000. Just look at who among this group of people has a combat power that exceeds this value, and you can determine who it is. While speaking, Ginyu turned on his own detector, and then scanned all directions. Looking at the values of each person in the detector, he couldn't help but complain, with a sneer on his face. They are really a group of weak races. Their combat strength is only around a few dozen, and the highest is only close to 1,000. If I sneeze casually, I can kill the group of people in front of me. Ginyu's arrogant look made all the Marines present grit their teeth, but there was nothing they could do about it. Each of these guys has combat power that rivals Boros, and they are simply unable to resist. Speaking of which, the Marines were all curious. The guy in front of me said that their combat power is only a few dozen on average, and the highest is only close to 1,000. So what is the combat power of this guy in front of you? As if he had read the thoughts of everyone present, Ginyu chuckled and said, if I tell you about my fighting power, I'm afraid it will make you despair. Beside him, other people were also smiling, seeing that Marine was treating lower-level creatures. Glancing around, Ginyu frowned and said a little strangely, among the people present, there is no one with fighting ability who catches his eye. Where is the man who killed Boros? The other members of the Ginyu Special Forces also had strange expressions. Most likely they knew we were coming and ran away. Jadu said with a smile. Lickham struck a pose, laughed loudly, and said confidently, it must be like this. Above the sky, Frieza lost his patience, since that person won't come out, let's just kill him. Anyway, even if he is present, the final result will be the same. Ginyu raised his hands in the same pose, and then said, Frieza-sama is right. Okay, now it's time to make this planet filled with blood. Meanwhile, on Shane's side, he was still lying in the easy chair. Originally, Shane thought that the Ginyu team would use a detector to find him, but now it seems that the detector cannot detect his combat power value at all. Think about it, all your attributes are given by the system, and the system itself is beyond the rules of this world and even the universe. After restraining his thoughts, Shane murmured in his heart, it's time to take action himself. The people on this planet now are the key to his resurrection, so there is reason to protect them. But at this moment, the system voice in my mind sounded again. Task. Without the host taking action, the assigned general will defeat the Ginyu Special Forces and receive the reward immediately. Mission reward. Unlock the upper limit of super explosion, which can explode up to 100 times. Shane, who originally planned to get up, lay down again after hearing the mission. Oh haha, it's another task to allow yourself to catch fish. Not bad, you just don't need to take action. Just continue to let people like Sengoku and San Admiral act as your generals. At this moment, Whitebeard, Red Hair, Kaido and Big Mom 4 emperors nodded to each other as if they had made a decision. Then the 4 of them walked up to Shane's easy chair. Whitebeard was the first to bow slightly, followed by the redhead. Kaido and the ant all bowed slightly to Shane and saluted. Shane's expression didn't change. He looked at 4 emperors silently and didn't speak. Whitebeard, red-haired and the others looked at each other, and then Whitebeard said. Shane, we want to fight for you and fight for the planet. Shane raised his eyebrows but remained silent. Whitebeard stood up noncommittal for a moment, not knowing what to say to impress Shane, or what Shane's reaction meant. The red-haired man on the side nodded slightly, then pondered for a second and said, we were enemies before, and we were defeated very willingly. We wanted to end it like this, but you ignored the past and healed all our injuries. The red-haired man spoke sincerely and truthfully. Sengoku and other senior Marine officials, as well as the 5 elders, were all watching silently, but did not interrupt. In this current situation, with foreign enemies at hand, does the past still matter? If they can't defeat the foreign enemy, then they have only death. The past really doesn't matter anymore. Shane smiled faintly, and he planned what the redhead would say. If I give you abilities, will you still be defeated in the end? Then fight to the death, Satyu. Kaido shouted. For people like us, dying in battle is much better than being unable to do anything and waiting to die. Whitebeard, Red Hair and Big Mom all nodded, and even Garp, Sengoku and the others nodded. Shane touched his nose, then nodded and said, okay. In this case, let you go out and fight. Frieza sends the Ginyu Special Forces, then you are my general. But there's still one person left. Shane looked at Marine. He smiled and said, which of you wants to join the war? Me. Garp was the first. You have fought just now, this time I will do it. Zephyr followed closely. Let me do it. First I'm also Marine Marshal after all. Sengoku also plans to join the war. If you are really defeated, at least dying in the battle is a good thing. At this moment, a loud laugh came. Master Shane, let me do it. From today on, I am willing to be a cow and a horse for you. Ads by Bid Gear. Chapter 87 4 Emperor's combat power is only 1000. Shane raised his eyes in surprise and saw many figures appearing in the sky. They were the Golden Lion and Bullet who were imprisoned in the undersea prison. They were powerful men from the old era. There are also strong men in Marine like Magellan. In the face of foreign enemies, everyone began to unite with a surprisingly consistent goal to resist foreign enemies. And the person who told Shane that he was beyond everyone's expectations, even Shane himself, was Golden Lion, Shiki. Everyone present was surprised and looked at Golden Lion in surprise. When did this guy say something like this? You actually said that you would do things for others. However, because Golden Lion was talking about doing things for Shane, no one there said anything or made any comments. The Golden Lion led everyone to fall in front of Shane and a group of strong men. He saw the strange eyes of Whitebeard, Kaido and others looking at him. He immediately grinned. Is there anything wrong with what I said? Master Shane can kill me with just a raise of his hand. Will I be his bastard? Oh 7. Golden Lion said this without blushing, without any of the arrogant attitude before. In fact, the main reason he wanted to please Shane was to experience what it was like to be a strong person. As someone who once stood at the top of the world, he knows very well that only by seeing such a scene can he have the possibility to work hard to climb up. So he wanted to let Shane give it to him once, so that he could appreciate the mystery of Shane's level, thereby giving himself the possibility of being promoted to a strong person at that level. This is also the main reason why Golden Lion bows down in front of Shane. Golden Lion came to Shane, bent his waist at 90 degrees, and then said, Master Shane, I hope you can give me a chance to participate in the battle. Shane, who was lying on the easy chair, glanced at Golden Lion, then smiled lightly and said, want to experience my height? Golden Lion's face changed immediately after hearing this, and he didn't understand why Shane knew what he was thinking. What if he misunderstood his own thoughts and thought that the purpose of his promotion to a strong man at his level was to kill him? The Golden Lion was as silent as a cicada, cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and he was cautious all over his body. Nowadays, Shane does not need to show any strength at all to make the strong men in the pirate world afraid. Shane laughed. It was funny that the Golden Lion was inexplicably scared to the point of pissing himself. Don't be afraid, it's just a casual talk. Shane doesn't have to worry at all about whether these powerful men in the pirate world might become stronger and then take revenge on him. In 800 years, I'm strength is meager, so what if I give others more time? Golden Lion, since you want to join the war, then go ahead. Shane said casually. The originally frightened Golden Lion was immediately overjoyed after hearing this. His eyes flashed and he said, you agree, Master Shane. Shane was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. He raised his hand and signaled to everyone. 4 emperors, Golden Lion is going to fight. I will give it to you later. It's interesting to let those guys who like to pose off first, and then give them a heads up. The presence of Marine, 4 emperors, and strong men from the old era were all unexpected. Is Shane so confident? The 5 elders and I still felt a little worried. I couldn't help but ask. Shane, aren't you going to take action yourself? I feel this will be safer, right? I am not optimistic about the idea of letting 4 emperors and Golden Lion play first. Each of these Ginyu special forces is as powerful as Boros. How can it be useful to them if Shane has given them several abilities? Shane glanced at IM and said nothing, but IM no longer dared to speak. Just stay cool in Waxiong, don't look for presents. Shane murmured. IM immediately shut up, and the 5 elders didn't speak either. Now they know clearly that the world is no longer decided by IM, but by Shane. What are you talking about? In the distance, the 5 members of the Ginyu Special Forces team were extremely dissatisfied. They made a gorgeous appearance and informed themselves and others of their cruelty. However, the group of people over there seemed to have not seen him and others, and ignored him completely. Above the sky, Frieza lost his patience and said, Ginyu, do it quickly. In fact, he would not pay attention to such a trivial matter as selling one. The reason why I came here specially this time and even set up a projection was because I was interested in the person who killed Boros. Frieza wanted to watch that man fight with the Ginyu team to add some fun to his boring life. But now that person didn't show up, Frieza felt very boring and uninteresting. At this time, Shane's faint voice sounded, Frieza, aren't you looking for the person who killed Boros? That person is me. Frieza was stunned and immediately asked someone to find the owner of the voice. He soon saw Chang'an on the easy chair. Looking at his lazy look, Frieza was inexplicably angry. He was King Frieza, the greatest man in the universe. How could this guy talk to me with such an attitude? However, Frieza was very good at controlling his emotions, so he thought it was just a ridiculous act that did not know the bounds of the world. Frieza chuckled. Oh, you were the one who killed Boros. Hum. Ginyu, look at this guy's battle history. Okay, Frieza-sama. Needless to say, Ginyu opened it immediately. While opening it, he smiled and said, I guess the high probability is a little more than 100,000, and an opponent like 203 is a bit interesting. However, when the detector saw Shane's fighting power, Ginyu was stunned and couldn't believe it. In the sky, Frieza raised his eyebrows and asked, Ginyu, what's wrong? Any questions? Could it be that this guy's fighting ability? No. Ginyu shook his head, and then laughed uncontrollably. Lord Frieza, this guy is just a clown. Boros was not killed by him. This guy's combat power is only 5 scum. The kind that can kill you if you sneeze. Frieza was stunned when he heard this, and then shook his head and laughed. This kind of Oda really can't be killed in the universe. Lord Frieza, please don't worry about it. Leave the rest to us. Ginyu praised him with full attribute points. At this moment, Lickham said in surprise, Captain Ginyu, 5 guys came forward on their own initiative. Ginyu turned around and saw Whitebeard, Red Hair, Kaido, Big Mom and Golden Lion. He was surprised and then smiled. Has someone finally stood up? Ha. Lickham, look at the fighting power of the 5 of them. Lickham made a decisive detection, and then said with a speechless expression, Captain, their average combat strength is around 1,000. Ads by Bid Gear. Chapter 88 Golden Lion appears in the first battle. After Lickham measured the combat effectiveness of 4 Emperors and Golden Lion, the other members laughed out loud. I thought those who stood up would be the strong ones, but I didn't expect that they were also a bunch of rubbish. Bart grinned evilly, full of sarcasm. Alas, I thought it could excite us a little bit, but I didn't expect that they are just bugs that can be easily crushed to death. Geese was very bored. Lickham chuckled and said, Stop mocking, these 5 guys should be considered the strongest warriors on this planet. The guy who killed Boros has most likely escaped from the planet, and there is no one in sight at all. Quote. Jadu taunted. I can kill all 5 of them by myself. Hey, Shane's chuckle came from the opposite side. He was lying on the easy chair, resting his hands on his head and feeling very comfortable. The chuckle attracted the Ginyu Special Forces team. Before they could speak, Shane said, Which one of you wants to fight this guy? But I told you in advance that this guy is the most rubbish among the Ginyu Special Forces and is at the bottom in terms of strength. When Jadu heard Shane calling him rubbish, he immediately became unhappy and glared angrily, Who are you calling rubbish? Damn it. You're a scumbag with only a combat power of 5. How dare you talk so shamelessly? Let's see if Lousy doesn't destroy you. Jadu was really angry. He had reluctantly joined the Ginyu Special Forces, and the most sensitive thing about him was that he was the weakest. Any mention of it would definitely touch his reverse scale. With vicious eyes, Jadu raised his 2 cannons and fired a wave of light at Shane's position. Go to hell. Repent under the underworld. Everyone in the Ginyu team watched the show with ease. In their view, Shane and everyone around him were going to die. At this moment, Shane used Super Grant and gave it to Golden Lion. A red light appeared in one eye, and the next second a prompt appeared in the eye. Golden Lion was successfully granted, and randomly obtained the abilities Super Defense, Instant Flash, and Super Power. Close black lens bracket. Shane was surprised. He didn't expect that the Instant Flash effect derived from Super Flying would be given separately. Now, Super Grant, after promotion, you can grant 3 attributes to others, which is good. Shane turned his eyes and looked at the direction of the light wave attack. At this time, the Golden Lion had already moved. He grinned wildly, Lord Shane. Thank you for your gift. Wow ha. As the laughter echoed, the figure of the Golden Lion had already appeared on the path of the light wave. On the opposite side, Lickham pointed at the Golden Lion and said, This insect is looking for death. Jadu sneered, full of disdain. What can such an insect do in front of my light waves? It will only turn into powder under the light wave, and it will not be able to shake the light wave at all. While talking and laughing, the light wave approached the golden lion and immediately exploded. The small light wave has the power to destroy the heaven and the earth, and the aftermath sweeps across all directions, enveloping a terrifying energy storm. Shane raised his eyebrows. Marine, who had finally been resurrected, didn't want to die again later, so he planned to help. But after thinking about it, Shane finally lay down on the easy chair again. Forget it. There is no way to save him. Frieza will also be here after Team Ginyu. Frieza's fighting power may be affected even if he goes to the end of the planet. Kakuzu may be affected. Instead of doing this, it is better to just be resurrected together when the time comes. The aftermath of the explosion swept across several miles, and the people affected instantly melted in the high temperature. The scene was tragic. The Marine senior management, the old-era strongman, Long and others standing near Shane were fine. After all, Shane is there to protect him. Everyone swallowed their saliva as they looked at the purgatory-like scene, deeply feeling their own insignificance. We are really useless. Bullet is complicated. He originally aspired to become the best in the world, but now he realizes that everything is so ridiculous. Strong. Even if he really becomes the strongest person in the world, what can he do on such a battlefield? The others' thoughts were also filled with thoughts, and they were shocked by the scene of world destruction in front of them. At the same time, on the Ginyu Special Forces side, the 5 of them had indifferent expressions and were not surprised by what was happening in front of them. Lickham crossed his chest and said with a smile, "These people have probably never seen anything like this." Bart sneered, "Didn't they see it now? I guess everyone was scared to death, ha ha ha." Jadu laughed and said proudly, "This is just a casual blow from me. But it's a bit strange that it actually made a sound and exploded. Didn't it hit the target yet?" Geese said indifferently, "It doesn't matter, it will explode sooner or later. Everyone affected will be finished." 17. No one was spared from the shocking explosion, but at this moment, a strange laughter came from the thick smoke. Gia hee hee. That's it. With such an explosion, you still want to defeat me who was blessed by Master Shane. Everyone in Team Ginyu was stunned, but before they could react, a voice sounded from behind. Only a low laugh was heard, like the whisper of a devil. In the back, Bart exclaimed. Everyone in the Ginyu team suddenly turned around, but there was nothing there. What's going on? Lickham was confused. The voice just now clearly came from behind me. Jadu said a little at a loss. Wrong guess, I'm in front of you. Someone shouted from the front. The Ginyu team suddenly looked around and saw the golden lion suddenly appearing in front of everyone, which made the Ginyu team jump subconsciously. Put some distance between you and the golden lion. Jadu was a little puzzled. He turned to look at the other team members and said, "What just happened? Why didn't we notice what this guy was doing?" Others also couldn't understand. There was such a huge gap in combat effectiveness. Why could the other party avoid their sight? Ah, Ginyu chuckled at this time. Li Jiao, maybe it's some kind of special ability. Although the combat effectiveness of some races on the planet is not strong. But there is more or less some special method, which is not worth mentioning. After hearing Captain Ginyu's explanation, everyone felt open-minded and reasonable. They had encountered it occasionally. But so what? The huge difference in combat effectiveness makes all the bells and whistles useless. Golden Lion smiled. What a huge difference in strength. I'm sorry, I'm afraid I disappoint you. Golden Lion's eyes burst out with a fierce light. Since Mr. Shane said to start with the shortest ugly monster, then I will kill you first. Although you are weak, you. Master Shane's order is absolute. Ha 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 ha. Golden Lion laughed wildly, suddenly burst into flames, and activated its superpower. Lion Majesty. The earth trembles. Ads by Bid Gear. Chapter 89. Such a powerful Golden Lion is a bit strange. Super strength combined with Golden Lion's lion fruit, the power of his move reaches unprecedented heights. Lion Majesty shot brought the Ginyu team present under control. The ground under Jiju's feet took him up into the sky, while the others were forced to separate. Jiju was quickly taken into the air, and he was extremely surprised. What is going on? Others also don't understand why the guy in front of them can separate the ground and let it fly. However, they didn't panic because they didn't understand. Ginyu, Heath, Bart and others used flight to fly into the air and get rid of control. The same goes for Jadu, flying in the air. Below, Sengoku et al. The other party can still fly. The surviving Marines and people around the world were surprised. All the enemies coming this time can fly, so wouldn't Golden Lion's advantage be gone? One can only hope that the power Shane gave him will work. People pray in their hearts. Shane is calm, everyone will be able to fly 7 Dragon Balls in the later stages, so there is nothing surprising about it. It can be said that this is the most basic. In the air, Golden Lion was surprised, but he quickly laughed. Hey 567, this is interesting. Next, I'm going to launch an attack. Are you ready? Jadu laughed angrily at the Golden Lion. A guy like you with only about 1000 combat power is so arrogant. I will let you feel the pain well and won't let you die so quickly. Jadu raised his hand and fired the light cannon at the Golden Lion again. Although I don't know what you mean by combat power, I know that your attacks have no effect on me. The Golden Lion smiled ferociously, straightened his chest with confidence, and resisted Jidu's light wave. Jadu smiled. You just used that special method to dodge the attack. Do you really think you've gone to heaven? Suffer death. Ha ha ha. Below, the rest of the Ginyu team were also laughing. In their opinion, the reason why Golden Lion did not die just now was because he used the means of teleportation to avoid Jishi's attack. But choosing to resist Jiju's attack head-on now is undoubtedly courting death. Jadu is indeed the weakest in the Ginyu Special Forces, but it is not something that these bugs can fight against. However, when the light wave attacked Golden Lion, everyone in the Ginyu team was shocked. It's okay. Lickum was extremely surprised. How could this be possible? What's going on? Why can't it cause damage? Geese couldn't understand and couldn't help but look at his captain. Ginyu frowned. That's weird. He also couldn't understand why Golden Lion could resist. In the air, Jadu was dumbfounded and his eyes widened. How is that possible? How can a guy with a combat power of only 1,000 resist my attack? Could it be that there are any other special means? At this time, a leisurely voice came. Shane said. Jadu, right. Shane only remembers his abilities and being beheaded by Vegeta in the end, forgetting his name. There is no special method, it is just combat effectiveness suppression. You will know it by looking at the combat effectiveness yourself. Shane's words stunned everyone in the Ginyu team. Lickum's eyes widened slightly. This guy is not dead yet. In other words, Jiju's blow just now was indeed blocked. But this is not the most surprising thing for the Ginyu Special Forces. The most surprising thing is Shane's words, is this combat effectiveness suppression. Everyone in the Ginyu team felt ridiculous to the extreme. Combat power suppression. Ha 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 ha. Bug, do you know what you are talking about? Lickum laughed. Your 1000 combat power is just gravel in front of us, and your combat power is suppressed. Where can you suppress your combat power? Ginyu, Heath, Bart and others all laughed lowly, and they were too lazy to explain to the person in front of them. They were completely unworthy. In the air, Jadu was laughing so hard that he was out of breath, laughing so hard that he fell forward and back. AHFA, this is the funniest joke I've heard since joining the Ginyu Force. Come on, let me tell you what my fighting power is and make you give up. Boros's combat power is about 100,000, while mine is 11,600,000 combat power. Although he is lower than Boros, Lousy has the means to convince Boros, haha. Come, let me tell you the precise combat power of these insects. Jadu said, pressing his detection device, and then testing the Golden Lion's combat effectiveness. Ha ha ha, bugs are bugs, your fighting power is less than. However, Jadu stopped mid-sentence. His pupils widened little by little, and his face was full of shock. 1, 10, hundreds, thousands, 10,000. Below, everyone in the Ginyu team originally had the attitude of watching a show, with contempt for people like Shane on their faces. But when he heard Jadu say 10,000 words, everyone's expressions became weird. 10,000. Jadu. Gweiz frowned and said loudly to him. What the hell are you doing? Why are you counting tens of thousands? Lickum made a pose. Are you lazy again when learning numbers? Above the sky, Frieza was yawning and about to fall asleep. However, when he heard the battle, he couldn't help but straightened his body and looked at the pirate planet again, with a look of surprise on his face. In midair, Jadu wanted to scold Lickum. How could he miscalculate such a simple value? But he is not in the mood now. The Golden Lion's combat power is not just 10,000, but has reached a unit of 100,000. Plus 5. How can it be? Soon Jadu thought of a possibility, which made him feel better again. He couldn't help but smile to the Ginyu Special Forces team members below. Everyone, my damn detector is broken again. It actually increased the opponent's combat power to more than 100,000. More than 100,000. Team Ginyu almost exclaimed at the same time, how is this possible? Heath immediately said, Jadu, your detector must be broken. I'll test it and give you the final value. Geese pressed the detector and began to detect the Golden Lion's combat power. Above the sky, Frieza on the screen lost interest again and began to take a nap. The detector must be broken. However, when Jadu also got the numerical value, he looked stunned. This. All around, everyone in Ginyu looked at Keith's horrified expression and felt baffled. How much this time? Jadu couldn't help but ask loudly. Gizi swallowed, looked at the crowd and said, my detector seems to be broken too. The final combat power was actually 14W6. Team Ginyu was shocked again, while Jadu was shocked. More than 4W higher than what I detected. There was sweat on Lickum's forehead. He laughed dryly and said, your detectors must be broken. This kind of situation has happened before. I'll do it. Ads by Bid Gear. Chapter 90 Golden Lion vs Jadu. Lickum also turned on his own detector and pointed it at the Golden Lion. Above the sky, Frieza lost all his boring thoughts and began to pay attention to the results. At the beginning, the Ginyu Special Forces said that the highest combat power of the people present was only about 1,000, but why did it suddenly become hundreds of thousands? The most elite general under his command, Ginyu, only has a combat strength of 20,000 to 100,000. The detector must be broken, otherwise such a thing would not be possible. And just as Frieza was thinking about this, he saw Vinkum's expression of disbelief on the screen. Pirate world. Lickum was already extremely shocked. Still, the combat power is more than 140,000 people. On the side, Lickum, Bart and others were all sweating on their foreheads. How could this happen? How is it possible that 14W has more combat power? However, it is not possible that all detectors are broken. What is the situation now? Bart couldn't understand. Ginyu's expression also became solemn. He was extremely sure that the people on this planet who had just been detected had a maximum combat power of only more than 1,000, and now suddenly a man with a combat power of more than 89, more than 120,000 appeared. This is already surpassing myself. In the air, Jiju's expression was full of horror. With a combat power of 140,000, how was he going to fight? The extra tens of thousands of combat power is a huge difference, and it is not considered to be on the same level. Below, Shane is equally surprised. This is a bit different from the combat power he knows in the 7 Dragon Balls. Isn't his Ginyu 12W and Frieza's 53W? Why can this Jiddu here achieve more than 110,000 combat power? But then I thought about it, this is the pirate world, the universe is the pirate universe, it is different from 7 Dragon Ball, which is normal. In short, it is enough to know that the current Golden Lion's combat power is stronger than Jiddu. However, Shane feels that Golden Lion's combat power should be much more than that. There is a high probability that the detector cannot clearly identify the attribute value combat power given by the system. Above, Golden Lion was already laughing so recklessly. Weren't you feeling proud just now? Didn't you just think that I'm not good at fighting? What's wrong? Why do you look so scared now? Jiddu forced a smile. He was a member of the Ginyu Special Forces, one of the most elite troops under King Frieza. How could this guy in front of me compare to me? The detector must be broken, definitely. Damn detector, do those guys in the laboratory have to work for a living? When we go back, Lousy will kill them all. Jiddu was so angry that he trampled the detector to pieces. Then he made a fighting stance and showed a cruel smile to the Golden Lion. Okay, Bug, just because of our technical mistakes, you got carried away for a moment. Next, I will knock you back to reality. Golden Lion raised his eyebrows and said with a ferocious smile, I must have brought you back to reality. Jiddu sneered, his eyes flashed with cold light. Even if he launched an attack, the speed was so fast that an afterimage fell on the spot. Below, Sengoku and others were surprised. Just like the battle between Boros and Shane, they couldn't see the movements clearly. Sengoku and others have already watched the high-level battle, but are actually a little calmer. As for Magellan, Rayleigh, Bullet, Red Earl, everyone who had just come from the underwater prison, when they saw the high-level battle with their own eyes, they were stunned and couldn't imagine it at all. So fast. You can't see it at all. Bullet was shocked to the extreme. He simply cannot intervene in such a battle. Even observation hockey has lost any effect in such a battle. The Red Earl sighed bitterly. Not to mention seeing, hearing, and seeing, even mind-reading skills are useless. In the air, movements that were too fast to be seen in the eyes of the top pirates were caught by the Golden Lion. He chuckled. How slow? No, it's not that you are too slow, but Lousy and I are too fast. Ha 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 ha. Golden Lion raised his foot and slashed at Jiddu with the famous sword tied to his foot. Jiddu was shocked and quickly avoided it. He was fast, but the Golden Lion was even faster. His fighting ability really surpasses his own. Jiju's heart beat more and more violently, and the more he fought with the Golden Lion, the more scared he became. The whole fight was suppressed by Golden Lion. With just one elbow strike, Golden Lion beat Jiddu to vomit blood, but Jiju's well-timed attack to Golden Lion failed to have any effect on him. Jiddu was completely panicked. The opponent's power was too terrifying. He would be greatly traumatized every time he was hit. If this continued. Exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. Below, the people of the Ginyu Special Forces were all surprised. 0. Please give me flowers. Hey, this guy's fighting ability is real. Bart said solemnly. It wasn't until all this happened, when the Golden Lion and Jiddu had a thorough confrontation, that everyone was sure that their detectors were not broken at all. The opponent's strength is indeed qualified to reach 140,000 combat effectiveness. How did a man who was in his early 1000s reach 140,000 in combat power in an instant? The people in Lickum were dumbfounded. This has never happened. Okay. Basically, everyone's combat power is whatever it is. It is impossible to increase it instantly, and it still increases by so much. Isn't this span too big? Above the sky, watching Team Ginyu's Jiddu being tortured, Frieza unexpectedly arrived at ultimate. He couldn't believe that this was actually happening. Point 0. The first elite unit under his command was actually beaten like this. How did the opponent achieve such a huge increase in combat effectiveness? Transform. No. Frieza suddenly remembered vaguely when he heard the Golden Lion say thank you to Master Shane for his gift. Master Shane. Frieza feels that Shane is the key to Golden Lion's huge improvement. Soon, Frieza's eyes were locked on Shane again. The guy who the Golden Lion had just treated respectfully must be this guy. But Frieza remembers that Ginyu said that this guy's combat power is only 5, isn't it? A powerful warrior with more than 140,000 combat power respects a scumbag with only 5 combat power. Frieza only felt that it was extremely outrageous, and there must be something fishy in it. This guy might be able to transform like himself. Thinking of this, Frieza became interested. Maybe this trip to the planet could bring him something interesting. At the same time, on the pirate planet, Jadu was tortured to pieces by the Golden Lion and was beaten until he was trembling. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth. But soon he started laughing. Golden Lion, right. I admit that your combat power is definitely more than 140,000. This is absolutely true. But what about a slightly higher combat power? Laozi has superpowers. Jadu shouted loudly, then held his breath, and the Golden Lion that was attacking suddenly stopped. Ads by Bid Gear.